What's going on, everybody? Sorry for the late start, later than usual, but we are here. This is the bare minimum. I'm Dustin Jones. That's Brandon DePlacy, and we are four-star Chicago sports. We got a lot to get into. Game tonight, first game of the NFL season. Eagles, Cowboys. Go through that. We got the Bears, Vikings preview Monday night is gonna be insane. I'm so excited for that. I'm sure you guys are too. We're gonna do some best case, worst case scenarios for all the teams that we want to talk about in the NFL, just intriguing teams that we want to discuss, and we're gonna talk throughout some bets. And if you guys got any, throw them out as well. We're happy to be here. Thanks for being here. Let's get into it.
Windy City banners rocking 4 stars align. Dynasty dreams rise, Bulls in their prime. Cubs curse shattered, the victory divine. Fields be running, clock ticking on my timeline. Shot-town heroes, legends never fade. Black Hawks flying, cutting ice with the blade. White Sox diamonds, the Southside parade. 4 stars shine bright, legacies they made. Mike with the crown, air rain, no dispute. Sweetness in the backfield, Walter in pursuit. Bear down Sunday's midfield, battles cute. Chicago.
What up, Brandon? What's up, man? How we doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Worst case scenario for my fantasy team today, so we'll get that one out of the way. We'll get that one out early.
Bro, I was talking to you about it before the game, like 30 minutes before the game. I'm like, Dak Prescott. I want to start Drake May over him, and like I'm going back and forth about it. And I just rode with Dak, and really wish I had started Drake May. He's gonna score 35 points this weekend.
I don't know what Dak got you, man.
Not enough.
This is hands down the worst start after the opening NFL game of the season my fantasy team's ever had. I got 1 point out of AJ Brown.
I played against AJ Brown in my other league.
A player that needs to produce points in order for my team to succeed.
Listen, the first week is always strange. I always seem to lose the first week in fantasy, man. Like no matter what, I lost both leagues that I won last year. I lost the first game of the season. Like it you got to feel out your team. It takes some time, and go with your gut at the end of the day. But we can talk about it, man. AJ Brown.
You don't sit AJ Brown.
No, of course not.
Like I did anything wrong.
I feel like I should have sat Dak. I should have sat Dak for Drake. It is what it is.
But then if you sit Dak and he explodes, then you have this thought. It's like, why do I allow myself to talk myself into something?
I just had a feeling.
Playing the guy who I drafted before the other guy just a week ago,
I think Drake May is going to probably score 40 points. We got John S. in the building. Says, what's up?
Thanks, you John. Pitched that one to me, man. That was a tough one.
Yeah,
that was one of the tougher stardom or sit-em questions anyone's ever posed me, man, for sure.
AC Adam.
I love Drake May in fantasy this year, man.
Sure. Same here. I think he might be a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Rocket Dream calls you the good twin. Says, what's up? You're the good twin, Brandon.
All right.
Rocket. Purple Jesus.
Appreciate it, Rocket.
Purple was hoping to join us tonight and talk some Bears Vikings, do the preview with us, but he was not able to get the night off. So we'll see how that goes. If you're able to jump in, let us know. But thank you for being here, guys. Hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Y'all are already. Share it with a friend. Tell someone to come have some fun with us. We're gonna be talking shit and bullshitting through this all night. And throw out whatever comments y'all got. We'll get into them.
You come here for the bare minimum.
Yep. That game tonight, man, started out pretty good. The Cowboys moving up and down the field. The Eagles doing the same. It was 24-20 at half, right? I mean, the Cowboys defense couldn't hold up. The Eagles defense was kind of killing themselves with penalties more so than anything. But the biggest thing that they killed themselves with was self-inflicted as well, with Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott in front of multiple referees before a snap was even taken. And when that happened, I said the Eagles might have just lost this game before anyone even takes a snap, because Jalen Carter is that Eagles defense. We've been big. Let me set this up real quick. We've been big proponents of Jalen Carter and how good he is, and how the fact that the Bears passed up on him was a big problem. But tonight, man, that was a big problem for Jalen Carter. He might also get a suspension on top of this. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like that. And he really hurt his team. I'm not a fan, man. How are you feeling about that and Jalen Carter?
Yeah, it's preposterous, man. And Chris Collinsworth said it best. You just spit in the face of every one of your teammates. That's what you just did. And I believe, Dustin, outside of a football state, like if you're not I think that's like a felony. Like anywhere in a public setting,
Yeah,
man.
Jalen Carter
So
was
yeah,
not
I think
thinking on
there's
that one,
probably I
man.
think you're right about a suspension. I think
Yeah,
that's coming. That's the
that's gonna
first
hurt the
thing I
Eagles
thought.
too.
First thing I thought is he's walking off the field, shaking his head, smiling like, man, I'm not gonna be able to play the home opener. I think you're gonna miss some time here, buddy.
And I think he got a new
And
nickname, Brandon. His new nickname is gonna be Hawk Tua. You watch.
yeah,
That's his new
and
nickname. Not a
I
good look,
also
man.
he needed to be there, especially for this game, Dustin, because as good as the players are that the Eagles drafted,
A lot of young guys right
God,
now.
are they rookies?
A lot of
You know
young
what I
guys right
mean?
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
You
needed to
you have
be. You need to be the stabilizing force, that
yeah,
presence.
because think about
Yeah,
between Mitchell, Quinyon Mitchell, is
yeah.
that's
Quinyon
on the other
Mitchell,
side.
Cooper
Cooper
DeJean,
DeJean,
Andrew
Andrew
Lugo,
Makuba. You've
Jihad
got just
Campbell, Jihad
r-
Campbell.
I think Blankenship's only been in the league for what, 3 years?
I mean, they're a group of young guys. They
Yeah.
replaced veterans with younger defensive backs this year,
And
and
it showed.
yeah.
It showed today. It did. And I don't think that it's any indication of who those guys are going to be because they're all, I believe the Eagles have found really good players in all those guys. But like you can tell they're young. They're a little undisciplined, and I mean on the field. There's a lot of touching and grabbing. They had
A
some
lot of
big pass,
penalties that kept
pass
the
interference
Cowboys
calls. Yeah,
drives going. Yeah.
they looked young. They looked. CeeDee Lamb is too much, man. He's going to be too much for anybody this year. I mean, he
Let
really
me
is.
ask you this question before we get into CD Lamb. Bears fans that say this is why the Bears passed on Jalen Carter. What is your response to that?
My take still stands. I'll never waver from that. I mean,
Mine
still,
too.
it
Mine
was still
too. He's still
stupid
the
to
best defensive
pass
tackle in the
that
NFL
guy.
right
Yeah,
now. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And you saw what that Eagles defense looked like when the Cowboys were able to run the ball, which they're not going to be able to do very well this year. That's a really good offensive line for sure, but I think it's going to be more for pass protection. Him not being in the middle of that defense, you saw the impact that it made on the Eagles, man. He's just way too fucking good. But
yeah,
that was just so stupid.
and they're both problems, Dustin. They're both problems to have because, like, you see what occurred with him today, and I've defended this guy's character, like all through and true. Like I
There's
have
been
done
good
nothing.
reports on it. Yeah.
And yeah, his college coaches, his teammates, everybody's known in his personal life all say like, no, the dude is just a really stand-up guy. He really is. He cares about other people. That's what everybody says about. And
Besides the
it was
ones
such an overreaction too, I
who
thought, man. Like
crash.
that escalated and I was like, Jesus. You know what I mean? Like I was pretty surprised, man. I was pretty surprised that
I've
that
never
just
seen
happened.
anything like that.
And
I've
I don't
never
think
seen anything
Jalen
like that.
Carter
I've
at
watched a
first,
lot
I
of
don't think he
football.
understand how, you know, I mean, I don't think you understand. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but like
I don't think
just
he understood the severity of his actions
yes,
when
the
he was doing
severity.
it.
That is the word.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't.
Well, that
At first it seemed like he was like he had no idea that was coming. It's like,
well,
dude, we gotta stop. It was like the game was gonna try to go ahead and continue. It's like, whoa.
Brandon, but that's kind of a trend with Jalen Carter, though, and
Well, so I was gonna
not
say, man,
understanding the severity
both
of his
both
actions.
things are
That's
a problem because
yeah, for
Jalen
sure.
Carter. Everybody's gonna and Sean and Kyle did this last night, and I wanna state this once again, guys. The comparison for me, which most people will, is not between Jalen Carter and Javon Dexter.
It's
The
Jalen Carter and
comparison is between
Darnell
Jalen.
Wright.
Yes, and there's
Yes,
two problems that exist here with these players right now. One of them has an attitude issue, a character issue, and that's a problem. And that the Eagles and Sirianni, man, does not come off like a coach that can resolve something like that. Like Fangio needs to make sure something happens with that.
I'm sure it
But
will.
Darnell Wright right now is being questioned by his own coaching staff
For
about
effort.
effort.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
like you have two very big concerns. So no, I don't feel any
One, but the
better.
thing
I don't
is,
feel any
one's an
better about the
all-pro
right.
player, Brandon.
Yeah,
One's an
and
all-pro
and
player. The other one is not.
a multiplier because you could see tonight the guy really is. I mean, he's the
You
oil
saw
that
the
runs the
impact.
engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw the
So
impact. And Chris Collinsworth said it right away. And that was my first thought is, like I said, the
yeah,
Eagles
he
might
said
lose this game because of
he's
this. Yeah.
that's he was very definitive. He said if the Eagles lose this game tonight, it's because of that. Like I was
100%. Yeah.
well, damn. I mean, that
Yep.
really Jalen Carter's.
Well, the Eagles didn't.
Hopefully, Jalen Carter's sitting there thinking that during the game. You know what I mean?
The Eagles didn't lose the game. The Eagles still found a way to win. Saquon Barkley played his ass off. Jalen Hurts played his ass off, ran all over that Cowboys defense. And another point I want to make is like that game delay really affected the offenses, obviously, and I expected it to. The defenses came out strong on both sides. The offenses couldn't move the ball. Like that kind of really tainted the game. Eberflus's defense did not look good in the first half. It looked awful. They looked a lot better in the second half, but I think that it was just a weird game in terms of that delay and how that impacted these offenses. So, and the Eagles they're a smart team. They know all we need to do is this to win. We don't need to really push it. So when it got to the end of the third quarter and the score was what it was, it just felt like the Eagles are going to milk this fucking thing for everything that it's worth and just get out with the win. They don't care if it's pretty. They just want to win. And that's what happened. You know, you said you liked the way Sanborn looked. He looked all right. I mean, Marshawn Nealon looked good for the Cowboys.
No, I didn't.
Kenny Clark looked really good for the Cowboys.
I think that text
there was some strong points.
I think that text was misperceived. Man. I didn't really text that it was a blunder by Poles because he looks so phenomenal in a Cowboys jersey. Like no, it was more just that's the guy that could have started if the guy who's listed as did not participate doesn't end up playing in this game. But
the problem with that is the money
that
you pay him to be that guy. You know,
yeah, the other two are not options I'd prefer, but.
We'll get into that, but
yeah,
I get what you're saying. I don't think.
But hey, listen, man, I want to say this: the Cowboys defense struggled. I mean, you're right. Eberflus, especially in the first half, it looked like Eberflus was in over his head. But those two guys outside were pretty darn good, man. Because Devontae Smith and AJ Brown were kept pretty quiet tonight.
I think that was a function of
that's a tough thing to do, man.
That was more of a function of the fact that they didn't take any shots at him. The only deep throw that Jalen Hurts threw was the one to Jahan Dotson that was completed. They just weren't really attacked. They knew that they could dominate the line of scrimmage, it seemed like, and Jalen Hurts just made it happen with his feet. AJ Brown was just not in the game plan, and I don't think it's because the Cowboys took him out, to be honest. I was disappointed that they didn't challenge those corners more on the outside. But, I mean, to people that think that the Cowboys can be competitive because of that game, you just got to keep in mind that Jalen Carter makes a huge difference on that defense. That offense did nothing in the second half, and the defense is going to struggle, man. And I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball the way they did tonight. And I don't know that they even ran it that well tonight. I think it was a fluky, weird game. I think the Cowboys are not very good, man. And the Eagles just found a way to win. That's my takeaway from the game. The Cowboys are exactly who I think they are. They're going to have to pass an awful lot, and I'm not feeling good about it right now with having Dak Prescott as my fantasy quarterback, the way that offense looked, to be honest. He was very efficient, but they couldn't get in the end zone with the passing game. They couldn't get it going.
Well, and I think it's important you stick to your guns, man. A lot of weird things are going to happen in week one. I don't ever let that really dictate how I feel about a team. The way I felt about a team all off season is still
the Cowboys are not 4 points away from the Eagles.
No, the Cowboys.
That's not the level of talent.
They competed. They competed in the first half. The Eagles took a shit in the second half, but the Cowboys lost. So they started out in the column that I project them to hang around in most often.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
I mean, this is just the start, and I see more losses, and I see more losses in the Cowboys' future than I do the Eagles, regardless of what happened in tonight's game. Man.
I'm just hoping for a lot of garbage fantasy points from Dak Prescott, and I'll say this: I do believe CeeDee Lamb is in. I've been saying it before the season started. He's in for like a fantasy wide receiver 1 season. CeeDee Lamb's going to have a very good year. He looked great tonight, but he did get hurt at the end of that game, laying out for a ball. So hopefully he's all right because he was fucking dominant in that game. I love CeeDee Lamb. He's my favorite receiver in the NFL. You got anything more you want to say about that game before we get into our best case, worst case?
No, it was more really just like I said. You forget, as good as some of these rookies are, the entire class, the group that the Eagles drafted this year, they looked like kids, man. I mean, like Jahad Campbell didn't look very good to me.
They're gonna have to. This is what I was saying when we did our prediction shows on Monday.
I don't want to. When I say that, I don't want to jump. It doesn't want anybody to interpret that I'm jumping out here saying Jahad Campbell's a bust. That's not the guy they thought they were drafting. I think he was, to me, a guy who was going to take some time.
Well, for sure, and he's had the injury too. So I mean, like but he's going to be a good player for this team. And
I still believe that.
But as I was saying on the Monday prediction show, just kind of tempering the expectations for the Eagles, they replaced a lot in their defensive backfield, and they lost a lot of pass rush too. And they got a lot of young guys that are going to need to figure it out, and they're going to learn it throughout as the season goes. So there's going to be some rough patches for this Eagles defense compared to what they were doing last year. So, but they got to win. So there you go.
Yeah, the score was what I had anticipated. I mean, the Eagles being on top.
But I thought the Eagles would win by a touchdown, so it was closer than I wanted it to be in terms of my money being where my mouth is.
But, yeah, two halves, man. Offenses couldn't be stopped in the first half. Defenses beat them up in the second.
And the game delay really impacted this in a negative way. We're gonna do a best case, worst case scenario thing. I thought of this today, and I wanted to kind of just. We'll each throw a team out. We'll take turns throwing a team out. And it's just kind of to show the variance that there is with this NFL season. And there are certain teams where you can see a really high ceiling and a really low floor, I think. Or maybe it's not as high, but like there is variance between how the season can go. Yeah, and just to kind of point out that
teams on a teeter.
Just to kind of point out that we have no fucking idea. We're gonna sit here and say, on Monday we sat and said like, oh, well, this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen, and most of that shit will be wrong, and it could go the far end one way, the far end the other way, or anywhere in between. We're gonna see, but we kind of just want to. It'll give us a chance to discuss some of these teams a little more in a little more detail.
The 4-letter network just did the same thing.
What's
we
that?
Did it first, guys. We did it first.
What do they do? What are you talking about?
They just released their prior to season projections, like where the divisions are, which team. Yeah, I know. It was a joke, man. But yeah, they just came out with their Super Bowl prediction. They did all of it.
Yeah, and if y'all didn't catch the Monday show, go back and check it out. I thought it was a lot of fun. All right, so Brandon, I'm gonna let you throw out a team first, and then I'll give my take, and then you give the opposite. Let's kind of just show how easy it is to make the point to make it seem like a team's gonna have a great season or a terrible season based on what you want it to be.
Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay,
this one's fun to play with.
It is, and it's one I had on my list that I wanted to throw out too. So Pittsburgh Steelers got a lot of talent, an awful lot of talent. I love their defense. I love their coach. Worst case scenario, Aaron Rodgers is the Aaron Rodgers we've seen the last couple of years in New York, whether it's injured or not playing winning football, not able to move. The offensive line in Pittsburgh is a lot better than the one that they had in New York. That's a fact. So that should help him. But can Aaron Rodgers buy into what you would call the Steeler way? Is he not going to be questioning Mike Tomlin's leadership or usurping that if that happens, that team will go down the drain. They don't have a quarterback to replace Aaron Rodgers. I like Will Howard, the guy that they drafted, but he is not ready. I think he'll be a starter in the NFL, honestly. I think he's got a damn good arm, but he ain't ready. And the Steelers are really banking a lot on a 41-year-old quarterback to play playoff caliber football to win in a division that is very good with the Ravens and the Bengals, who are double-digit win teams potentially in terms of their over-unders. So the worst case scenario is Aaron Rodgers doesn't buy in. Aaron Rodgers just continues to be himself and tries to be a hero, and the Steelers, fall apart because of it. That's my worst case scenario for the Steelers. Let's get the best case, Brandon.
I'm glad you pitched me the worst case scenario because I have a question to follow up then with the worst case scenario. And I said this to you in a text today, or I text yesterday. It's not something people think about, but you'd be more often right than wrong in Mike Tomlin's tenure. Worst case scenario is all those things you just said. And what is the Pittsburgh Steelers record still?
7 wins. 6-7 wins in that scenario. I mean, that I see their floor being like 6 wins. I see their ceiling being about 10 or 11. I mean, it really depends. And as I pointed out on the Monday show, the variable in the AFC North, the biggest one, is Aaron Rodgers, without a doubt. If he can figure it out and get back to like even somewhat of what Aaron Rodgers has been in his past, that team is going to be very scary and very hard to beat. But if it goes the way I just projected, not so much.
My best case.
John says 9-8. Yeah, let's hear the best case.
Best case scenario for them, obviously, you're correct. It's a lot is balanced on the arm of Aaron Rodgers for sure, and a lot depends on that, I should say. And best case scenario is that he throws another, being on a better team than he was last season on the Jets, and a team that can actually compete and win football games. Because let's say Aaron Rodgers played well on that Jets team, they probably still would have lost games. I mean, they're just not good. But he threw 3,800 yards. He threw 28 touchdowns, so he almost hit the 30 mark. I mean, on this Pittsburgh Steelers team, is it possible those numbers can improve? Yes, for sure. He's got, like you said, a better line. He's got
a better offensive coordinator.
Pretty.
A better run game. Yeah, you're
sorry,
cutting out a
you
little
broke.
bit.
Yeah.
No, you did. You do every time.
Two competent running backs. I think Roman Wilson's due for a big season. You've got Jonnu Smith and Freiermuth. There's some big targets out there for Aaron Rodgers. I think, and their defense isn't stacked. I mean, this defense,
they have a potential to be a top 5 defense.
Yeah, yes. I was going to say it's a top 10 defense in the NFL.
Top 5. They have potential.
So the best case scenario is the Bengals fall apart, because we know that's a possibility
because they have no defense at all.
Defensive side of the football, they lose football games, important games especially. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are able to take second place in this division behind the Ravens, and so with double-digit wins, solidify a playoff spot. I think that's the best case scenario for the Steelers.
All right, very good. I like it. Since you just brought up the Bengals, I'll throw them out. You go for it. Bengals.
Okay. I'm gonna go worst case scenario, because that's
what I figured you would do.
Loomed over me all off season until I looked at their schedule, man. But the problems still lie. So worst case scenario, man, is that they spent all this money they've spent on the offensive side of the football at the behest of Joe Burrow, who I think is a generational talent. I want to state that generational talent, and this is a team we should be picking for the playoffs every year without question. But they don't do anything to resolve the defensive side of the football, the problems they have there. And you draft a guy like Shamar Turner, he holds out for a little bit. I mean, that's not, he's there now, but that's not good news. You know what I mean? Hendrickson had the contract thing. They did something where they paid him as much as they possibly could for 1 year with the franchise. He's probably not thrilled about the result, but I just don't think that defense is good enough to stop powerful offenses. And the worst case scenario is that it wins more games for them than it loses, or loses more games for them than it wins. They're 8-9, and that in that division, Dustin, you and me both know that might prevent you from being in a good AFC. You could be 9-8 in a good AFC. You might not make the playoffs. And I don't see that.
So your worst case scenario is 8-9.
Yeah, the worst case scenario for me is not that the Bengals implode and fall apart and they win 4 games. They're still going to be around that 8 to 10 win mark. But I don't know if that's good enough in the AFC. I think your projections on Monday had 2 teams with 10 wins.
I had the Steelers at 10-7. I had the Patriots at 10-7, both missing the playoffs. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's the worst case scenario is that they have a fair season like that. And listen, man, worst case scenario as well is that this guy's a coordinator that should be fired, Zach Taylor. That's another worst case scenario for them.
Is that he's not a head coach.
Isn't that guy? Yeah. And they got to move on and start that search next season.
Well, but if that happens this year,
that's the job you want.
Oh, Brandon, if that happens this year, Zach Taylor is certainly going to be fired. If they
don't make the playoffs, he's gone, and that's the most enticing job in the NFL immediately, Dustin.
So for an offensive guy for sure, not for a defensive guy. Okay, so and also, I mean, just in your worst case scenario, the offensive line is still kind of an issue there in Cincinnati.
Another Burrow injury, but I don't want to say injuries, man, would be the worst case scenario.
I'm not suggesting injuries. I'm just suggesting like they can't hold up, and Burrow is under too much pressure.
If they can't hold up, Burrow probably won't play a whole season. That's just how that seems to go.
Okay. Best case scenario for the Cincinnati Bengals is Chase Brown is a fucking number one player in PPR for fantasy running backs. He just is catching and running all over people, and that offense is putting up 33 points a game because they've, as you said, put so much money into that offense and have so many playmakers. You got Chase and Higgins. That's impossible to stop for a defense, right? And if Joe Burrow's the one throwing to him, that you're going to have to keep up with them. So if they score over 30 points a game and a team has to score 35 points in a game to beat them, they can just outscore people all season because that defense is not very good right now. But you got Shamar Stewart there. You've got some pieces that you've added that they've attempted to, and maybe they get them to play up a little bit. Another part of that best case scenario for the Bengals is that defense is just better than we expect it to be, right? Because that's what happened for the Bengals when they went to the Super Bowl. Nobody thought very highly of that defense, but Trey Hendricks came out of that was his first year with them, I believe, out of New Orleans, and he just started dominating, getting after the quarterback. So you still have Trey Hendricks there. They just re-signed him. Maybe the defense is just better than we expect, and they don't even have to be scoring 32 points a game to win every game. But
did you say Hendricks?
Trey Hendrick, Hendrickson, sorry. BCP, hit that like button. What up, Foster? Thanks for joining
thanks for
us.
everybody that's in here tonight,
Foster,
guys.
you really should not have shaved your fucking beard, dude. I mean, I appreciate it for the entertainment value, but yeah, Foster shaved his beard tonight. And I just don't. Yeah, but good on you, man. Hopefully it works out for you. It'll grow back. It'll grow back quick. But yeah, best case scenario is.
My worst case scenario, I forgot to mention this because this is something that's been in my. I was texting you guys earlier that this has surprised me that they're going to make a bell cow out of Chase Brown. I hate even saying this, man, because I just told you I don't want to talk about injuries. It's like speaking things into existence. The guy's 5'10", 200 pounds. If he becomes an every down back, you might have some problems. I don't know.
I don't think that he's had issues with durability so much so far in his career.
He hasn't, but he's never been asked to really be that.
Well, last year he was. He was that guy for them. It's not like they didn't have a second running back. He was their
Zach
main guy.
Moss on that team?
I mean, I don't know. He wasn't on their team. Like, he wasn't consistently getting carries. At one point, they traded for Khalil Herbert, didn't they? Or was that the year prior?
No.
What up, Shorty?
But I don't think he ever.
Exactly. I'm just saying, like, he was that guy for them last year. I expect big things from Chase Brown. This Bengals offense, I picked the Bengals to go 11-6, and that is really on the strength of that offense because that defense is not very good. So we'll see how it goes. We got a best case, worst case for the Bengals. What do you got next, Brandon?
Tennessee Titans.
Well, this one's, I mean, I just did this on Monday. But yeah, the best case
we did most of these.
yeah, but no, but I mean, like, this one in particular, I went into detail about is what I'm saying. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. I guess since I did best case already, I picked the Titans to go 10-7 and win the AFC South. Cam Ward throw for 4,000 yards, and that offensive line just dominate all year. But yeah, I mean, worst case scenario is Cam Ward is not ready for the NFL. Cam Ward is he makes a lot of mistakes. He leads the league in interceptions, because they're going to throw the ball a lot with their new number one quarterback. And Calvin Ridley is just not very good. I don't think Calvin Ridley is very good. I think his catch percentage is shit, and he's Cam Ward's number one target. So maybe he's not so reliable. Maybe Tyler Lockett is just too old, and maybe Eric Ayumo or whatever, however the fuck you say his name, is just not very good. And their offense is not able to score points. Their defense is pretty good, but they will struggle if the offense can't score points, the same as they did last year in terms of holding up. And the Titans, worst case scenario, man, as I picked them to go 10-7, but they could go fucking 4-13 for sure if those things happen, Brandon.
Yeah, I think this is a team that's very much on the teeter, like I said. And here's another thing that I want is worst case scenario is
Thank you, Shorty. Thank you for being here.
Worst case scenario, I would also throw in is Callahan, your guy. That's
that you can throw that in there as well. Callahan is the biggest question mark for this team, and if he's just not a good NFL head coach, it's going to show. So yeah, that becomes a part of that worst case scenario as well, Brandon.
Best case scenario, Dustin, is that he is a good coach, and that he needed because listen, man, if there's a guy I'm giving an excuse for, the guy that I'm giving, yeah, you deserve another year. It's
If
the
you
guy
have
who
Will
coached
Levis,
Will Levis.
yeah,
Yeah, because that was just unfair, and you could tell how frustrated he let his frustration out publicly. Like he was clearly really upset with
I
Will
fucking would have
Levis's
too. But yeah,
inability.
yeah.
Yeah, and he was upset with the player himself. But I think best case scenario, man, is that Cam Ward is maybe just as good as some of the guys from the year prior's class. You know, the Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams
If
class.
he's
Like,
just another one in that
yeah,
line, yeah.
maybe he's the guy who belonged in that draft. Like, because we don't know where right now. You don't know where he would have been picked, where he should have been picked amongst those guys. But he's a stud. I love Cam Ward, and I think his ceiling, man, sky's the limit for Cam
He'd
Ward.
be a
Like
top quarterback in the league. Yeah.
this is a guy who plays fast. He plays downfield. It's
It's
like
not
he's
just how he
always.
plays either, though, right? It's
It's
his
like
mentality, how he approaches the game. He is a
he's got one
leader
of
through
those.
and through. Yeah.
He works his ass off. He's got one of those. All he thinks, lives, breathes, eats, sleeps like that. All it is football.
And
That's
he will stand toe to toe with the
yeah.
biggest guy on his fucking team, the biggest, meanest guy on his team in Simmons. He will stand toe to toe with him. I love Cam Ward, everything about him, man. I do.
But I guess in his last year at college, Miami, he had led the halfway through the season. He was leading the most 20+ yard completions for a quarterback, and he was leading it by like 15. I mean, this
Mhm.
guy can throw. He's got a hell of an arm. He's really this is what I love most about him. Dustin. He's mobile. He gets out of the pocket, but he
But to
doesn't
throw the
run.
ball.
He
Yeah, he
doesn't
wants to
run.
throw the ball.
He is,
Yeah.
yeah, he's got that Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson mentality. Extend the play in order to find a receiver still. And best case scenario, man, is that offense hums and Spears, who I think is always kind of on the teeter of breaking out, does finally. And Calvin Ridley looked really good to me in camp, man. I don't know much about Elik Ayamanor. I know that there's a lot of craze coming out of their camp with this guy. So yeah, maybe they have a guy define themselves as a number two because they don't right now. So that's the best case scenario, and that defense, Dustin, is able to just keep them in every game because it's solid. It's
Yeah, it
solid.
is. It is.
So
Okay.
that's going to happen. I think that defense is going to make them competitive for sure.
It tried to last year, but again, if the offense don't score, that's going to break your defense. So that would be the worst case scenario. If Cam Ward is just throwing the ball away trying to make plays, So we'll see how it goes. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but that's the worst case scenario. You can paint it both ways. I'm going to throw out the Kansas City Chiefs to you, Brandon.
Okay. I'm gonna go best case scenario.
Okay, I like that.
I'm gonna say that after what I watched, especially against the Bears in the preseason game, man, I thought that Chiefs, because it was something I was keeping an eye on, being a Bears fan and all. Like there's things that you want to see in the NFL based on what happened last year. That offensive line finished on such a poor note. I was like, is this really where the Chiefs start? Because when your offensive line, man, starts playing like the bottom of the league, you stop contending. And I was wondering, like, is this the start of it all for this Chiefs team? They looked really good, man. Offensive Trey Smith is a monster. And you can say people are like, oh, he went and pushed a Montez Sweat that was engaged in a block. Sure, it should have been a penalty. He still threw Montez Sweat 6 feet across the
He's still a
grass.
beast. Yeah, he's still a
He
beast.
threw his ass down. And Montez Sweat's not a pushover, man. So this offensive line is stout like it's been in recent years during this dynasty. Patrick Mahomes gets back to those outrageous numbers because they've given him a lot of quality talent now. He gets back to that 5,000 yards mark passing, the 50 touchdowns that he threw in his first season as a starter. He gets back into these numbers. And guys like Brashard Smith, who they drafted, like a scat back, and I think can have a Tariq Cohen-like impact on this football team. Cohen, for the Bears, had a really good season before injuries. And Kelsey has a serviceable season. That for best case scenario, that's the best I'm giving Kelsey. Is a serviceable season. But then Dustin, that defense is still good. Spagnola's a really, really, really quality coordinator. That defense
One of
has
the top
really
five
good
best in the
players.
league. Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer, yeah. And that defense has really good players on it. I thought the Bears offense was going to struggle with the starting Chiefs defense in the preseason game, and they did because that's the defense you remember from all last season.
Yep.
So that best case scenario is this team's back atop, Dustin, and the dynasty continues. And the best case scenario for a team like the Chiefs, I think it's not unfair to say, is a Super Bowl again.
Yeah, because they just went to one. As bad as they were last year, they still
continue to go to them.
As bad as they were last year, they still went to.
I know it's funny the way you think about it, because the way they played in that Super Bowl, man, looked like a team that
left a bad taste.
A Super Bowl loser always comes back next season and struggles. That's been the history of the NFL. It's like an expression or a joke now in the NFL. If you lose the Super Bowl, you're doomed. And that team didn't look like a team that was on a good trajectory, man. That team that lost that Super Bowl.
Purple Jesus says, best case scenario, Travis Kelce comes to his senses and calls off his engagement to Taylor Swift. I mean, I think that's pretty sensible to continue on.
Too bad you couldn't join. That's amazing.
No, he's saying he's going to be home. So what I wanted to say to Purple Jesus is I copied the link already. I'm going to send it to your email when we're going to be getting closer to doing our Bears Vikings preview. We're going to bring you in for that if you want to, Purple. So go ahead and throw a comment. Let me know, and I will take a second to send you the link when I have a chance. Okay. Worst case scenario for the Kansas City Chiefs is that Super Bowl hangover, is that Rashee Rice being suspended for 6 games, he never gets back into it, that Hollywood Brown can't stay healthy, that Travis Kelce is really just done with football and he's kind of cooked, and that Patrick Mahomes just turned 30 and he might not be the same player he was. And you got a rookie starting at left tackle who has some growing pains throughout this season that lead to some back pains for Patrick Mahomes. Simmons is a good player, I think, but we don't know what he is yet. He's looked good in camp, but everybody looks good in camp. He's going to have to figure this thing out pretty quickly. So I think that's the worst case scenario, is that this Chiefs offense continues to not be able to execute big plays. They did not have very many of them last year, and that was a big problem for them. Xavier Worthy is just too small. He's really fast, but he's not big enough or strong enough to get off the line and be as impactful as you want him to be. And that offense just becomes stagnant and relies really heavily on Isaiah Pacheco being their bell cow. But that's not enough in a division where the Chargers are stepping up and the Broncos are stepping up, and they are third in this division with a single-digit record. That's the worst-case scenario in my mind for the Kansas City Chiefs. That defense will keep them competitive, but if this offense can't get back to its big play capabilities, its big play identity, that was what made Patrick Mahomes in this offense so dangerous, they're going to have a hard time keeping up in the AFC West, Brandon.
Yeah, you made that actually pretty damn convincing, man. And you have this idea about these teams that are coached well with good quarterbacks and obviously successful management, and you just think they're going to be good forever. But I mean, there are things you can start to see in a team that there's signs that they're losing life. And those things you pointed out, man, all very possible.
Remember what happened with that Warriors dynasty? It's just kind of died. Dynasties die. It happens.
And it literally
just get old.
It just happens like that. They didn't like players weren't like retiring. Steph Curry still plays on the same team. Kevin Durant just left. Yeah, like
Draymond Green is still kicking people in the balls. The guys are still there.
Hey, he's not spitting on people.
They just kind of disappear.
Respectful.
Yeah. Dynasties eventually die, and when it happens, like it just happens. It's hard to predict it because you continue to see them have the success, and you don't want to bet against it. Eventually, it just goes though. So we'll see how it goes, but that's the worst case scenario in my mind for the Chiefs. And Purple Jesus is going to join us. I got the link copied. I'll send it over to him.
Sounds good, man. I'm excited for that.
All right. It's your turn to throw out a team there, Brandon. I got a few more I want to get to.
Oh, man. Yeah, me too. There's one that I want to do, but I also don't want to do because I don't care about them.
Well, if you don't care about them, then don't say them. Man. Yeah. Throw out a team that you want to talk about here.
This is one, man, that my mind thinks could be extreme in one direction or the other. Detroit Lions.
Yes. I've been kind of like higher on the Lions than you. So I'm gonna go worst case scenario in this situation. I'm gonna make you do the best case.
You son of a
worst
bitch.
worst case scenario is the Lions are the worst team in the NFC North this year. Like the fall from grace happens quickly and it happens like that because you lost the offensive coordinator that carried your team, that created the identity for your team with scoring, 30 points a game. You lost the defensive coordinator that kept this defense competitive through a myriad of injuries last year. And the Lions, we talk about them like they've established this dynasty, but they really haven't done shit. I mean, they've won some games in the regular season, but when it comes to playoff time, they've been losing. They had a bad loss to the Niners, right? In the playoffs, they had a bad loss to the Rams. They had a bad loss to the Commanders, and now you just lost the most important piece to your team, I think, in Ben Johnson, and replaced it with. It's not like it goes from Ben Johnson to Morton. It's like Morton's right here. It goes from Ben Johnson to Morton all the way down here. Like Morton's a 30-year guy in the NFL. He's been around. It's not like he's just some hidden gem play caller that's been sitting there and no team has really tapped into it yet. And Morton's getting a lot of bad vibes out of the camp. Guys are kind of like, what's going on with this dude? If that offense becomes stagnant,
What's going
Detroit,
on?
yeah. What's going on with it, dude? Yeah, that's kind of the vibes out of Detroit. It feels like going from Ben Johnson to Morton. So if that offense becomes stagnant, too dependent on the run, and can't establish something with Jared Goff and Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown like they were last year, that's a problem. And then I haven't even mentioned the fact that they lost their starting center and their starting guard this past year, one to retirement, one to free agency, and they've replaced them with one with a rookie. And I don't remember who the other guy is that they replaced them with. I'm blanking on it right now, but they lost Ragnow and they lost Zietler. So, and those were huge parts of this offensive line. This offensive line is noticeably worse. The offensive coordinator is noticeably worse. And Dan Campbell is a gambler, and he might not have the guys to design the calls when it's fourth down. To Morton might not be that guy that Ben Johnson was. I highly doubt he is, actually. So worst case scenario is the Lions lose a lot of close games to NFC North teams because they can't score enough points, and their defense is just not good enough.
Yeah,
7 wins. 7 wins is their floor. 7 wins.
Yeah, I would say less, man. I really do believe this team could come out
less. Okay.
Well,
you're supposed to do the best case, but
yeah, I know. But best case scenario, man, is that Dan Campbell proves to the world that it wasn't a privilege to have good coordinators. He fucking hired them. You know what I mean? And that the guys that he hired, it's not about what you lose, Dustin. I've said this a lot when we talk about that Lions team. It's about who you replace them with. And Dan Campbell proves that he's a coach who, for the future of the rest of his NFL tenure, will be able to make good hires at these positions, and that he is the structure. He is the culture. He is what makes this team succeed, no matter who's calling the plays. But that's hard to look past.
And they still have a lot of talent on this team.
Yeah. And then the best case scenario is Jared Goff remains atop the NFL in regards to the way he's played the last couple of years. He's been an MVP finalist for a few years of the last in his tenure with Ben Johnson. The best case scenario is he continues that, even if John Morton changes the offense a little bit. Goff is still
Goff kind of becomes the offensive coordinator on the field,
able to
right?
command it, for sure. And this defense now with Brian Branch stays healthy, plays through, and health on this
team. They have a damn good secondary in Detroit.
Health in general, man. Detroit lost that game, and they a lot of people were upset. Like a lot of people had a lot to say about them after they lost in the playoffs last year, but they were just decimated, man. And Aiden Hutchinson plays a full season. That's your best case scenario, because that guy, we talk about Micah Parsons, Dustin. It's the same type of player. You get Aiden Hutchinson for 17 games. That's the best case scenario for your defense, because that guy, like I said on Monday's show, man, he was on pace to beat the single season sack record by like 3.5 sacks. That guy, to me, is the best pure pass rusher in the NFL today. That's what I believe about it.
So having him back makes a big impact on
Yeah,
their
and
defense.
you dominate the NFC again, the NFC North again. That's your best because you have another 4-2 against your division record. You know what I mean? And you're gliding in the playoffs with the 1 or 2 seed. That's the best case scenario for the Lions. So that's why I want to bring them up because you pitched like eight wins being the worst case scenario.
I
You
think
could
7.
see, you
Yeah.
could set or 7, yeah, even you could see like 12 because the way this team has played the last couple of years. It's a wide gap for that team and the
I picked them
possibility.
to go 11-6, and I don't feel as I don't feel so confident in it. The more I keep thinking about
No,
it, man.
I picked them to go 10-7, and I don't feel Dustin. I
Yeah,
don't feel confident about the Lions at all. And I'm trying to think of being a Lions fan. How am I feeling about this Lions team if I'm a fan of it? I wouldn't feel great until I would be anxious. I need to see it on the field. I
yeah,
need to see
yeah,
that it's the same. That's how I would feel.
for sure, man. That's a good point. I'm gonna throw out the Giants, the New York Football Giants.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah,
I'm going best case scenario
I
because
figured you would.
I've been on record for saying it, and it's possible that I'm wrong, guys. That we always can be, but I'm going to continue to say I think it's the best unit in the NFL, the defensive line on that Giants team. And guys, we saw what this Giants team does. They've done this before. They won Super Bowls doing this. I mean, when you had, Kiwanuka and Pierre Paul and Strahan and what was the other guy's name? He had another weird name in there.
Humanure.
Humanure, yeah. So you had this beast of a line that went and beat Tom Brady twice.
Yeah,
and
he
won
did.
some
Purple Jesus. Jared Allen got screwed out of a sack. He brought it up in his Hall of Fame speech, I believe. But yeah, Jared Allen got screwed out of the sack. That would have been the record. In terms, because you were talking about the sack record. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, yeah, it's bullshit whenever something like that occurs in regards to statistics, man. But yeah, this defensive line is what they've done before in the past. This defensive line is just too much for any quarterback.
You've called it the best unit in football overall. The best unit, period, in football.
And I believe it is. I believe Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Dexter. I think Dexter Lawrence is a top
one of the top 2 or 3 tackles in the
NFL. Yeah. So it's not like you're just strong on the outside, where most of these guys are known for. You drafted Abdul Carter, Dustin, who besides Travis Hunter, I thought was far and
premier
away
talent,
the best talent in this class, and I think he will be still. I think he's kind of separated himself. He was in a whole nother league than these guys in this draft, man. But
yeah, he looks damn good too.
That defensive line dominates. Russell Wilson fails, and Jackson Dart becomes a franchise quarterback. I mean, he steps into this league and he shows you that he's one of these guys who can pick it up right away. This is the best case scenario, and this team makes the playoffs, man, because the Commanders regress like everybody is anticipating, and it opens the door. The Cowboys I don't think are gonna be a good football team. It opens the door for these guys to not only get some wins in their division, but and Brian Dable remains the head coach. That's the best case scenario for that football team, man. It's a lot of this, Dustin, that we've talked about is coach. A lot of teams we've just picked without even thinking about it are teams where coaches could be fired, or you know what I mean, or get extended. So
Dable's definitely on a hot seat, man. So yeah, if I were to go
playoffs would save his. I mean, he'd be safe.
It's not just Dable though either. It's Shane as well, Joe Shane. I mean, the worst case scenario is those guys are just not it. Dable's not the coach that you thought he was. Shane is not the GM you thought he was, and you need to restart all over again. And as good as that defensive line is, your offense can't overcome it. I find it funny that you talked about all the best case, and Malik Neighbors wasn't even brought up. Malik Neighbors, went off with terrible.
I don't even know if I need to say Malik Neighbors is just who he is.
Might be one of the best. It would be one of the best receivers in football this year.
But listen, Malik Neighbors. Something about Malik, like everybody, especially fantasy people, are like, "Oh man, my neighbors, that's the guy because he's gonna have 200 targets or whatever." Like, dude, you need some help. You need some help
for sure. And the worst case,
you have surprised anyone that Neighbors got hurt twice last year, a concussion and a foot thing or something. I mean, that guy was getting like 8 to 10 catches a game. You need some help there, man.
The worst case scenario is you don't have that help. You don't have it, and that you don't have a quarterback. Right? You don't have the coach. You don't have the right GM. You don't have the right quarterback. Russell Wilson as you said, is a shell of himself, and he can't maintain it for long enough. And then they have to go to Jackson Dart too early, and Dart's not ready, and Dart struggles so much that they're worried about hurting his confidence that they then come and put Jameis Winston in to back that up. And then you get the whole Cleveland thing that you had going last year there in New York, where Jameis Winston is throwing it a lot, and it's a lot of fun to watch, and he's licking his freaking fingers, but you're not winning any games. So that's worst case scenario to me. Russell Wilson can't do it. He's done. Jackson Dart has to come in too early. They go to him too early, and he struggles. They try to salvage that by bringing in Jameis Winston, and you end up with fucking 5 wins. And you'll get them on the strength of your defense. And Neighbors struggles because of the inconsistency at quarterback, and you're never able to establish anything. And also, Cam Scatterbo is just not a good player. Completely overrated player. And then your run game doesn't come along the way you expected it to either. Things could go very bad very quickly for the Giants. I think they could be a sneaky team potentially, as you said, based on the strength of that defense. But if Daboll's not the guy and Jackson Dart's not ready and the offense just struggles, man, it don't matter how good that defensive line is. They're not going to be able to win games for you. You have to score points. And if the Giants can't do that, they're going to be the cellar dwellers in the NFC East again, and Daboll and Shane both get fired, and they're hoping they can salvage Jackson Dart after a miserable season. That's the worst case scenario for the New York Giants.
Yeah, I'm not. You know me. You know how I feel about Daboll. I've never been his biggest fan, man. I if I had to bet, he will not be a head coach for very long.
All right, what else you got?
Want to do what? One more?
We can do 2 more.
Okay.
Why don't we do the 2 NFC North teams here?
We just did the Lions.
I know. Let's do 2 more.
Okay. Then I'll throw at you the Packers.
Hey.
I think as much as we don't want to, guys, I think that one's pretty important to talk about.
Honestly. I think so too, because they're being picked as Super Bowl favorites by a lot of people after the Micah Parsons trade. They were being picked as Super Bowl favorites before the Micah Parsons trade. A lot of people believe in Jordan Love, and I'll make the case for Jordan Love. Jordan Love 2 years ago to finish that regular season was one of the best quarterbacks in football, the way he was slinging that ball around. And he never let his team be out of a game. And now when it came to the playoffs, he ended up throwing the game away for him. But he's a young guy. He's learning. He just got a big contract. He's coming into like where you should really have it all down when you're running a Matt LaFleur offense or any coach like that. Like he's coming into the prime time for that, and he just puts it all together. And Matthew Golden is a stud receiver that the Packers have needed this whole time that Jordan Love has never really had. They thought it was Christian Watson. He can't stay healthy. I thought it was Christian Watson too, but he can't stay healthy. If he could stay healthy, Christian Watson is a very good player. They establish the number 1 receiver pecking order. Tucker Kraft becomes that next great tight end in the NFL, and Josh Jacobs is able to repeat what he did last year behind a pretty solid offensive line. So offensively, they're able to hold water, and Jordan Love is not asked to do so much, so he's able to limit his mistakes. That's the best case scenario on offense. And on defense, they lead the league in sacks. Micah Parsons is an unstoppable force for the Packers, and an opposite Rashawn Gary. Those guys are meeting at the quarterback an awful lot, and that just really helps shore up the secondary and makes their life easier because the secondary has a lot of holes in it and some problems probably in terms of straight talent on talent. So they make up for it by just really being in the quarterback's face consistently throughout the game. And this team goes to a damn Super Bowl, wins the NFC North and goes to a Super Bowl. That's the best case scenario for the Green Bay Packers in my mind. I picked them to go to the NFC Championship game, actually.
Okay, yeah, I think.
Did I miss anything in terms of best case for the Packers? Is there something I'm missing, a key part? Matt LaFleur actually gets his shit together, and his in-game management, clock management, decision-making in terms of do you go for the field goal or do you keep going for it on 4th down? Like certain game management things with LaFleur have really cost the Packers games in my mind. maybe he takes that next step too. I think that's another thing that needs to happen. His play calling cannot be questioned, I don't think, but his in-game management has been questionable, especially in some key moments. So that's something that needs to be fixed for the Packers as well. Did I miss anything else?
No, I mean, I think Jacobs having another kind of top of the league
Yeah,
season.
I said that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's about it. I think worst case scenario, man, is that Jordan Love's not the answer, and you paid him way too much money to
Ooh,
find
yeah,
out.
that could be rough.
And,
Yeah.
and Micah Parsons' injury is more than just a small headline after a trade. It's a big deal, and it affects the way he plays if he's on the field and whether or not he's able to. And that secondary is exposed, and I think that will be a problem for the Packers this year. I think besides McKinney, it's a whole lot of question marks. And guys, when you have a whole lot of question marks on it, it's not very common that they all work in a positive favor. You know what I mean? They all have a positive outcome. So I think that defense, I like the edge rushers still. Micah Parsons obviously was an incredible talent to add, but I like the guys who were there before. I like Edrin Cooper. I think he's a quality pass rusher. I think he had 5.5 sacks or something in his rookie season. This is a guy that could definitely add a few more to that total. And their defense carries them, Dustin. Sorry, I'm doing worst case scenario. Yeah, so their defense, a lot of injuries, and Jordan Love fails, man. And I don't know the wide receiver thing, man. They don't have a number one, but they manage. They have a large group of guys who are like bees. You know what I mean? But yeah, I guess Christian Watson's not able to get on the field. That one's too obvious, guys, to even throw out there. Worst case scenario is Christian Watson's career is just lingered with injuries, man.
Jaden Reed can't get healthy. Matthew Golden is too small.
Yeah, I think Jaden Reed's out, isn't he?
Gets negated. Yeah, well, he's not. I don't know if he's out, but he's definitely. He might not be playing, and he's definitely.
Yeah, Golden is a bust because he's a raw talent. It's something people forget about Matthew Golden. Is he's not projected to be like an immediate impact player in the NFL. I think he's got a lot to work on because he was a pretty raw.
What's their record floor in terms of this worst case scenario? Because I said Super Bowl.
Jordan Love keeps giving the ball away, man. 7 wins.
Okay. 7 wins is decent for Jordan if Jordan Love throws 30 touchdowns and 22 interceptions.
They have a good roster, man. That's why we call the NFC North one of the best in the league, is because these guys all have what looks to be pretty good rosters, top to bottom.
Okay, well then we're gonna finish with the Chicago Bears here, Brandon. You get to pick it. You want best case or worst case?
I'll go best case.
I figured you would.
My best case scenario is that, most importantly, man, Ben Johnson is the same guy as a head coach that he was as just a play caller and a coordinator in this league. Caleb Williams is your future franchise quarterback. He is a generational talent. He is a guy who consistently carries you to playoff seasons, gets you to Super Bowls, wins Super Bowls. Those two guys are here, and they show it now. That's your best case scenario, because
their relationship grows fast.
Those two things could still be true, but not this season. So best case scenario is that occurs quickly, and we see the results of it.
And Ben Johnson is the next Sean McVay, like right away. Yeah.
Yes, and then this defense is able to generate some pass rush with the additions they've made. We haven't seen Shamar Turner play. We haven't seen Dale play on this football team really. So they get after the quarterback. They make life hell for opposing quarterbacks. Their secondary is obviously good enough to take the ball away. So if they're able to apply pressure on opposing quarterbacks, their secondary will take the ball away. We know that. It's something they're going to do. So their defense dominates under Dennis Allen. And all of the talent they've added to this offense, Dustin, the way we felt last year, is just too much for defenses to handle. Because I think
top 5 offensive line.
And when I talk about the best case scenario for the Bears, this is the thing that I think I feel the most confident in. This offense just has too much. Between Colston
Loveland and Luther Burden make immediate impacts. Yeah.
Best case scenario for me too, Dustin. People are gonna call me crazy for this. Is Colston Loveland is like Kelsey, where like your receivers, as good as they are, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden, he's your guy. He's your 1,200 yards, 12 touchdown. Like That's a best case scenario as well, because just teams in the NFL, not a lot of teams in the NFL just have that guy, and it makes you much better if you do. But Luther Burden ends up being like we all think, a top 10 pick as opposed to 39th where he was drafted. Rome Odunze ends up being a top 10 receiver in the NFL. I mean, on the offense, man, the sky's the limit. Best case scenario is all of these guys are drafted exactly who they were, or all these guys become exactly who they're drafted to be, because the Bears would have a really good football team. And obviously, man, DeAndre Swift has statistically his season wasn't
1,500 total yards
yeah. See,
between receiving and
because
rushing,
statistically last year he actually played
double-digit
pretty well.
touchdowns. Yes, I mean behind a top 5 offensive line, like with the additions that the Bears have made, and Braxton Jones is better than we thought, and in a new scheme with better players around him. I think that's your best case scenario, right? Ben Johnson is that guy. Ben Johnson gets in Caleb's head and figures it out quickly, like you said, and gets Caleb to lean away from his bad habits and lean into some good ones.
It can't be understated, guys. Best case scenario, Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback. That's the
the
best
main part. And Ben Johnson is the next Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. That if those things happen, that is best case scenario. 100%.
All right, I hate to even hear it, man, but let me hear it. Pitch it to me.
Okay, worst case scenario, where do we start? The defensive line is not able to generate pressure, and Dennis Allen has to do a lot of blitzing in order to try to get pressure because he's desperate to do it. And they leave a lot of holes in the secondary. They take a lot of chances and they get beat a lot over the top. Defensively, that could be a problem. Defensively, if Tremaine Edmonds is just like a complete bust and the Bears have overspent and overpaid on him and he is not the guy and he's just not able to lead this defense. And Jalen Johnson's injury, which is a calf/groin that seems to be lingering, that lingers throughout the season, and you're missing, or you have one of your best guys, but he's in a limited capacity throughout the year playing hurt. And you don't have a running back room offensively that is actually any good. You don't have a Jahmyr Gibbs comp or even a David Montgomery comp in that running back room, and you just don't have the answer there. DeAndre Swift is not able to make explosive plays, and Kyle Monangai is not able to power through, neither is Roschon Johnson. And Caleb Williams continues to hold the ball too long, so he's not able to get the ball to these receivers. The deep ball is still not hitting, because Caleb had a lot of trouble with that last year. And the offense that Ben Johnson is designing, Caleb is not executing within that system, so the timing is not there. And your left tackle, which was never solidified through a long drawn-out competition throughout training camp, never solidified, and your left tackle is not good enough. Braxton Jones is letting up too much pressure, so then everybody else starts letting up pressure, trying to overcome that. And Caleb Williams takes another, 40 to 50 sacks this season and is not able to get the offense going. I think those are your worst. I think that's your worst case scenario.
Chet and I really hammered it home on the best case scenario.
My prediction, best case scenario, Caleb Williams is the Super Bowl MVP. Worst case scenario, Bajan is the Super Bowl MVP. And listen, I mean, Ben Johnson is just not the guy, right? At least not in his first year. Like the moment's too big for him. There's a lot going on, and he's just not able to get his head around all of it. And it gets past him. And the Bears win six games. I think that's the worst case scenario.
Because this is my team. It's your team. It's the team that these guys tune in to hear about. So I think it's important to say this for me, guys. And I try to be grounded. I stand firm in what I believe, regardless of how people perceive it. Because a lot of people think me and you, Dustin, for years, we've just been the Debbie Downers, while really just being realists. And we're more often right than not when we project bad things for this Bears team before season starts. The best case scenario for me, Dustin, feels very likely. Like, I believe that this is what's going to happen. The best case scenario for the offense and for the defense, I'm leaning much more towards the worst case scenario.
I gotta watch that new Peacemaker. No, yeah, for sure. And I have, the more I keep thinking about it and looking at it, I'm a little upset that I picked 8 and 9 for the Bears because like I had them at 10 and 7 a couple of times, but it's just like I'm not ready to commit. And I think there are some holes here that we're not acknowledging as much as we should. The worst case scenario I just pointed out, I don't think that that's the case, especially offensively, as you just said, Brandon. I'm just trying to give the other side of that coin, but I do believe this offensive line is fucking going to be good. I believe Caleb Williams is going to be good with Ben Johnson. I believe Ben Johnson, if he can do anything, he's going to be able to call plays. This guy was the best play caller in the NFL the last couple of years. So, I mean, at the very least, he's going to be able to do that and let Dennis Allen take care of the defense. But there's not enough talent in some key spots on the defense. You are 100% right, Brandon. And the run game has some question marks as much as I believe in DeAndre Swift. So, like, there's a few key things here that I think we got to acknowledge as Bears fans as potential pitfalls for this team this season. And I think the offense will be so good that they can overcome it and hover right around 500 throughout the season and stay in playoff contention. But it just won't be good enough to get over the hump this year because they're still missing a few pieces.
Exactly. This is what I wanted to say, Dustin. Dennis Allen runs a very specific scheme. And Dennis Allen is one of those coaches that's wise enough to know exactly what he needs
Shorty.
everywhere on the field. What he needs, he has a mold of a guy that he wants playing each position. There's a great possibility that Dennis Allen's defense is still a year away from being what he wants it to be. And regardless of how good a coach he is, he just doesn't have the tools to operate the defense that he runs successfully. That's what I believe is a very big possibility for this defense. And that they slide, man, and that they allow. Listen, my greatest fear right now for the Bears is that they can't stop the run. It is a fear of mine, that it's a gut feeling in my stomach that they're going to come out looking bad against the run, man. And we all know, Dennis Allen says it the most, if you can't stop the run, you cannot rush the pass. And I think this team's already struggling at that position, but regardless, I think they're missing some talent in order to get after quarterbacks. I think they need more that they don't have, and they're not going to get this year. And if they can't stop the run, especially, Dustin, these edge rushers are not good enough.
For sure. And if the offense scores a lot of points and they're able to be decent against the run, they will be ahead in games to where they can just pin their ears back and go after the passer. And that could work in their benefit. Again, man, like I keep wanting I want to change my record. I want to change my record to 10 and 7 for the Bears and put them in the playoffs. I keep thinking like Ben Johnson just has this vibe, dude, and like this is going to work. I'm sticking with my 8 and 9. I am, but I got this feeling like it's going to be a little better than I expect. But again, there are some pitfalls here that we got to acknowledge as Bears fans that could really put some holes in this season for us that they can't address till next offseason. That's just the reality of it. And unless they make a trade in the middle of the season.
You know, it's funny. We do this best case, worst case scenario. I think it's fair to say best case scenario is the Bears team that played the Bills in the preseason. It's the Bears team, and the worst case scenario is the Bears team that came out against the Chiefs starters, because the Bears won that game in heroic fashion. I don't want to say the Bears from that Chiefs. I don't want to say the Bears from that Chiefs game, because the second half the backups went out there and stole a game back, man. But the starters that came out, the way they looked against the Kansas City Chiefs starters, that's your worst case scenario, because it was bad.
But Brandon, how good it looked against the Bills and how
wide open every drive.
How wide open receivers were and how poised and efficient Caleb was. And it's like that's Ben Johnson's bland bullshit preseason offense. What he's gonna do with Caleb Williams, because I believe he's going to lean into the strengths of Caleb Williams. He is, and it's going to work. I believe it's going to work. So that's what makes me kind of want to jump with Shorty here and say 10 and 7, because like their vanilla bullshit offense was just beautiful to watch in preseason. And I know it's not even close to what Ben Johnson's going to do on Monday night against the fucking Vikings, which is what we're going to talk about next, unless you got anything else you want to get into.
No, another team that I think an honorable mention of, we don't have to do the worst case, best case, but a team that I think go very two different
high variance. Yeah.
Yes, is the Carolina Panthers, guys. Is a team
I had them on my list as well.
They're fun, man. I mean, Tetairoa McMillan, is going to be a stud. And watching Bryce Young throw the ball to this kid is going to be fun. I really like John Canellis. I do. I know you can make a very strong
Isn't it
argument.
Dave?
Dave can make. I always do that. You can
Yeah,
make a strong argument
you do.
that we shouldn't like Dave Canellis, but I do, and I think that he's going to get this team. Eventually, this team's going to be a playoff team. I believe that with him as head coach.
Hey man, you look at what he did last year with Bryce Young and how he benched him and how weird that was, but then how that worked and how Bryce Young was able to progress.
He responded so well.
Yeah, like that. That's a good sign of coaching to me, that he's able to, have his fingers on the pulse of his players and know how to motivate them and know what they need to get better. So yeah, I got my eye on the Panthers as well. I had them at 9-7 a couple of times, and then I had them at 6-11 or 7-10. I fell at 7-10 for the Panthers.
So yeah.
Real quick, we're gonna get into this Bears-Vikings game. That's our next thing. We do have Purple Jesus. Kyle is his name. We have not met him yet. We're gonna bring him in just a second to talk about this game. But I just want to go through the injury report. The Bears did not practice today. It was an off day. Jalen Johnson would have been limited with his calf/groin, but that's worrisome, man. You got a calf injury/groin injury, and hopefully he's healthy, because like this first week, him not being at 100% is concerning based on the reports that they've had about Jalen since this injury happened. So you just worry about that shit lingering, man. At least I do. Manungai would have been limited with a hamstring. He's going to be the number 2 running back on Monday, I believe. I mean, Roshan is not going to be playing, right?
Roshan did not participate in the practice that nobody participated.
Yeah. TJ Edwards would have been a DNP with a hamstring. That's concerning, as you were just bringing up earlier when we were talking about it, man, because it's going to be Hippolyte or Sewell in that spot if TJ Edwards can't go.
It's going to be Hippolyte.
And it better be, because I like him better than Sewell.
Sewell is not a linebacker. He's a pass rusher.
So, I mean, and I'd like to see Hippolyte, but at the same time, I kind of wouldn't, especially not at the expense of not seeing TJ Edwards, who is a key part of this defense. Ben's Bears offense is going to shock the nation. That's what Shorty says. With his T formation, Shorty, is that where you're going next?
I agree with you.
I don't know, Shorty. I don't know if you saw earlier when you were saying you did the poll about sit down or stand up to piss in this toilet or whatever, and then you're like, I got another poll. I got a good one, and you're typing it out. I'm like, I threw in the chat. I said, it's gonna be, do you wipe sitting down or standing up? And I was like, that's gonna be the poll. And then Shorty threw it out and was like, do you wipe from the front or the back? And I was like, I fucking knew it. I was close. It was pretty damn close. Yeah, TJ Edwards not going would be a big blow to this defense on Monday, and that could change things in how I look at that game, to be honest. Blackwell groin would have been a DNP as well. He's your backup nickel cornerback. That's what we got for injury report right now, the major ones to talk about. I don't know if I missed anything, but the Bears, I would say this, have been pretty lucky and so far it's been pretty good in terms of health compared to a lot of other teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah, it's a short list. It's a short list.
Yeah, and it's not like it's season-ending shit or, lengthy things. The Bears should count their blessings right now with how healthy they've been.
Nowadays, injury lists are usually like 10 to 12 players, man. I mean, that they have like 5 guys on their list. That's, that's reasonable. So.
Okay, I want to look at the Vikings injury report, but we're going to pull in Kyle here, and we're going to see if he's got any information to share with us on that. Kyle, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's going on, Kyle? Thanks for joining us, man.
My stuff sound good here?
Yeah,
you sound great.
Okay, good.
You sound like the voice of God.
How was work, man?
Quick. I actually only had to work 2 hours tonight.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, I was able to get out. It was pretty slow, so. That was nice.
We appreciate you joining us.
We've
loved you in
Canadian,
the chat, man.
No, I'm from Minnesota.
Okay.
Why do I have a Canuck accent or something?
You do a little bit.
I get that from time to time. Yeah.
Is there really? How much of there is there like a huge difference between the Minnesota one and the Canadian one? Is it like hugely discernible?
It generally is.
I think it depends on probably where you're from in Canada too.
I also played a lot of World of Warcraft with some guys from Canada, so I worked really hard when I was younger to try to get rid of the Minnesota accent. But after hanging out with those guys in Discord for like the last 5 years, it kind of creeps up on me now and again. But
Yeah, it's all right. It's who you are, man. Don't change it.
yeah, I know.
Listen, we've loved you in the chat. You've been with us for a while, man. I remember you checking in like last year when we were doing this show, and love the takes you bring. Love the fact that you're going to bring the perspective of a Vikings fan to this Vikings Bears preview, and we're happy you fucking joined us, man. We appreciate you throwing it out. It's good to put a face to the name,
right? Yeah, no, I remember the first time I watched your show. It was I think the week before the Monday night game against the Bears last year.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting at home. I was bored and just decided to pop in. I don't hop in and talk a lot of shit unless it's a Packer stream. Then I will. But I know you guys' show. I really liked your stream, and so just kept coming back.
My man.
Check out the channel's other streams from time to time too. Not so much that we said 9-1, just because I don't really care about baseball anymore, even though I'm wearing a Yankees hat. But
yeah, it's hard to care about baseball anymore. I find it hard to care about baseball as well.
All the rule changes and stuff. And now with everybody just trying to jack home runs all the time, and like this, not the game that I liked. So
yeah, same here, man.
Whatever.
I'm with you. I gave up on it some time ago. What do you got for Vikings injury report, Kyle? You got something for me?
So today there was, I think, 5 guys on the injury report. Only 2 were DNPs, and it was Harrison Smith, who has some sort of mysterious illness. He hasn't practiced since August 11th.
Huh.
And the other one's Christian Darisaw, who has practiced. He was the DNP today, just I think on I'm sorry, I was reading your chat there. Darisaw was
Shorty's jealous.
He's obviously coming back from a torn ACL, which I think if it happened early in the year, I think it was like week 7 last year or week 8. I mean, I guess not too early. It was against the Rams, but if he wasn't such a big dude, he'd probably be back for sure already. But I think he's going to play. They're just kind of being a little sneaky with it, and they're not interested in like rushing him back if he's not ready.
He's a damn good player. He's a damn good player. He's important to that team for sure.
He's I would say he's top 5 left tackle in the league, and he's not 5. But the Harrison Smith one is really weird because nobody said anything. The only thing we know is that it's not mental health. What it is, all it's basically said is some sort of he's either sick or somebody close to him is sick. But
hey, Kyle, can you do me
talking about it.
Favor? Can you turn down the mic just a tiny bit?
Hold on a second here.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, it says it did not participate in Thursday's practice. I think every team was off today, but it says due to illness. So yeah, maybe he's sick or somebody.
How's that? Is that a little better?
Oh, that's much better. That's perfect.
Okay, I'll try to keep my face away from it too.
No, Xavier Scott was another one, the running back. I don't know how between Mason and Aaron Jones, those are the guys you're worried about. Yeah.
He's
Naylor. Are you worried about Naylor?
Well, Jalen Naylor was a full participant today.
Okay.
So not too worried about him if he's like him not playing. I know that they were worried a couple weeks ago, which is why we traded for Adam Thielen.
Yeah, exactly.
But he had some sort of surgical procedure done on his hand that was just, I don't know if it was cleaning stuff up. Like, again, something they didn't really get into a whole lot. But they never seemed to be too worried about him. But, they brought in Thielen because Addison's obviously out for the first 3 games. And never hurts to have an extra guy, that's for sure.
Yeah,
it was pretty thin after Addison. So
I think Thielen's kind of washed, man. But I mean, he's a better option than a lot of other options you had. How'd you feel about the draft pick they gave? Was it a 5th round pick they gave up to get Thielen?
Well, they gave up, so they sent away a 5th rounder next year and a 4th rounder in 2027, and they got back a 7th and a 6th. I want to say the 6th is this year and the 7th is next year. I tell you this much, given Kwesi's history of drafting, I'm not too worried about losing out on a 4th round pick. So,
okay.
But as far as Thielen being washed, I don't think he's not like Jerry Rice at 42. He was still, I think
he's not that
like,
good, right? He's not that good.
No, I mean he's not. If people are expecting Adam Thielen from 2017, they're going to be disappointed. He was the leading receiver for the Panthers last year, and he only played like 10 games. I don't even think he played that many. The year before, he had 1,000 yards his first year away from the Vikings. You know,
he hasn't shown major signs of decline.
So, and
thank you, Shorty. Be good. Be good.
His major decline that they were really worried about when they tried to restructure his contract after 2022, but he apparently wasn't having it, or his representation wasn't having it, and so they just let him go because he was due to make like $20 million, but he was also suffering from some foot or ankle injury that year, so he did kind of fall off a little bit that year, but like I said, a 4th round pick. Not that worried about it.
What are you expecting out of Thielen as a Vikings fan? Do you expect him to make an impact in these first 3 games, at least filling in for Addison? I mean, your team is obviously in a much worse place without Addison and replacing it with Thielen, in my mind. Or how are Vikings fans feeling about Thielen? How are you feeling about Thielen?
I like that. That's a good alliteration. I expect if we get 60 yards out of him per game, I'll be happy with that. If we get a couple of touchdowns, sure. I don't know what to expect because we're starting a quarterback. We're basically doing the same thing we did last year. Starting a quarterback we haven't seen before.
Worked out pretty damn well for you last year.
I think and a young quarterback. So I think regardless of whether or not Addison's on the field, I think Hawkinson's going to be pretty heavily targeted. Young,
I would say so too.
Tend to favor tight ends. That was his best target in Michigan, was his tight end. So I mean,
and the guy you got, right?
Yeah, Colston Lovin. So I think he's going to target Jefferson a lot, obviously, but Hawkinson especially for sure.
What's the vibe on the Jefferson thing? Because I know I've been hearing about some, he's had some type of injury issue.
Hamstring, I think.
Yeah, his hamstring thing.
So how are you guys feeling about that?
He tweaked it, I guess, on the 2nd day of training camp, and they were just like, you know what, just go sit on the sidelines and do your your workout, keep your hamstring loose, and. I was at training camp twice. I always take my kid to the night practice, which is it's a fun, great family atmosphere. And then we went to one regular training camp day this year, and both of the days that we were there, and especially the second time we were there, which was it was a week later, so this was like August 11th ish. He was out there taking passes from his coaches, running up and down the field at what appeared to be pretty full speed to me. So nobody's really worried about it at all. The only people that are worried about that is national media saying, "Oh my God, Justin Jefferson hasn't practiced in the last month."
Fantasy owners, those are the guys who are concerned about that.
Yeah.
I want to ask
wouldn't worry about him at all.
Before we dive real deep in the Bears-Vikings game on Monday night, I want to ask you this. It's a question that I'm sure you anticipated, and everybody probably wants us to ask you. What is your early impressions of JJ McCarthy? And be honest as you can be, what's your gut feeling about this Vikings team going into this season? I think it'd be reasonable to expect regression, but like enough to derail the trajectory they were on.
I do not expect us to win 14 games this year. First and foremost, I do not expect that. I mean, I didn't expect it last year. The problem with seeing him in practice for, I would say, probably about 5 hours. The problem with seeing him in those practices is that he's not facing a scout team defense.
Right.
He's facing Brian Flores' first string defense. And just like last year, because I watched Sam Darnold against Flores' first string defense, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't as bad as Darnold's was last year in the night practice. He had some good throws. He made some good plays. I'm excited to see him play against other teams and teams that have defenses that aren't as good as ours. It should be interesting. I'm more positive outlooking at this season than I was last year. Like last year, I was like, "Oh, Sam Darnold." Like I was looking to sell my tickets. Like I was like, when they signed Sam Darnold and let Cousins walk, I was like, okay, how am I going to get rid of 9 tickets this or 8? Was it? Yeah, it was 9. How am I going to get rid of 9 tickets this year with Sam Darnold being our quarterback? And I'm excited. The guy's won at every level he's ever played at. And I love the fact that, especially Colin Cowherd, everybody hates him. They're like, he's not going to be anything. He wasn't anything at Michigan. He's just a handoff merchant
over here too. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
So I've said before, I think that JJ McCarthy is the biggest variable in this NFL season. You guys were a dominant team last year in a lot of aspects, man.
A good roster.
And you brought up Darnold and how well he played. And the Vikings said, we're not paying you, and they just let him go. And they're banking on this rookie quarterback who was my least favorite quarterback in this draft last year before the Vikings picked him. So it's nothing personal against the Vikings. Sure. I just did not think JJ McCarthy was a good quarterback. I thought Jim Harbaugh really handcuffed him in very important moments throughout his college career because he didn't trust him to make the throws. That's the way I looked at it throughout his college career. Now, this guy sat behind Darnold and worked with KOC all season last year, right? That was one of the big stories in Minnesota. How much time they would spend a couple hours a week together and go over things, right? So, like, how do you feel about going from a guy? Do you believe in this theory that the Vikings have that JJ McCarthy is better than Sam Darnold right now, and it's worth it letting Sam Darnold walk? Because like the money that they saved with Sam Darnold, they were able to put into some starters to make this roster really fucking good. Like there's some talent on this roster. They brought in some, Fries and Kelly and Allen. Like they added good players to this team with that money they saved. So are Vikings fans in on this? Like JJ McCarthy is that guy, and how much of it is just KOC can make it work because he's done it with all these fucking quarterbacks throughout this entire time?
Look, the way I look at it is I was kind of on Kirk Cousins when KOC became the head coach. And when KOC became the head coach, Kirk Cousins became a different quarterback. Cousins was afraid, he'd take more sacks, and he did kind of revert into that playoff game against the Giants. But throughout that year, and then the half of the season that his last year before he got hurt.
Yeah. He was balling before he got hurt for sure.
He was like in MVP talks. That 49ers game was I was at that game, and I remember looking at my buddy who absolutely hated him. Was like, what do you think of him now? And I can't believe that Kevin O'Connell would allow them to draft a quarterback that he didn't think he could work with. I mean, he was close to making a playoff. He was close to making the playoffs in 2023 with Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
We were in those games. We were in that game on Christmas Eve against the Lions in 2023. If Mullins doesn't throw that bad pass, if he doesn't throw, he threw like 4 picks in that game. I'm going to trust KOC.
I don't blame you.
There's no reason for me to believe, like, what everybody says, the Harbaugh, handcuffed him or, didn't allow him. Michigan didn't need to throw the ball that much. I mean, they were killing everybody.
Their defense was really good and their run game was strong for sure. And Harbaugh, that's like, how he wants to approach a game. We all know that.
Like, I look at it this way. Let's say, for the sake of argument, let's say the Vikings win the Super Bowl this year and Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason run for a combined 1,900 yards and McCarthy only throws for 2,900 yards. Am I going to sit here and be like, why would we only throw for 2,900 yards? I don't give a rat's ass. Just
Yeah,
win
you
the
just
game.
wanna
If
win
you
the
have the
game.
most dominant rushing game if you have the most dominant rushing attack in the game, we'll use it.
I'm in this weird place with the Vikings, man, because I just acknowledge how much talent they added to this team in this offseason. I think their secondary is pretty bad. I don't believe in JJ McCarthy. And I think, as you just said, like KOC would not draft a quarterback he doesn't think he could do something with, right? But at the same time, like I don't think there's a quarterback that KOC doesn't think he can do something with. I think he probably thinks no matter who the fuck you put in my
I think
system,
there's a few.
I'm gonna make it work. So maybe he's feeling himself a little bit. As a Bears fan, could definitely be biased. Again, just was not high on McCarthy throughout the entire draft process, throughout his college career. So I'm concerned for that Vikings team in terms of what McCarthy can do within that offense. But as a Vikings fan, I can totally understand exactly what you're saying and you got way more right to have that thought than pretty much anybody else in the fucking league in terms of what their coach can do with a quarterback and how much talent you really do have on that roster, man. So it makes sense.
Yeah,
right.
and
It's
my
Go
impression.
ahead,
No, it's my impression of JJ McCarthy, and I've started to dig, Dustin. You know, I've been digging into this a lot, and I don't know that anything that I've provided is proof enough that it makes a major impact over a player's career. I've come to find that the guys who are, because these NIL deals sticking around in college football and throwing
Multiple different systems,
1,500,
around,
playing 5 seasons, throwing 1,500 to 2,000 pass attempts. Those are the guys that you're watching find immediate success in the NFL, like good starts to rookie years.
Yep.
The guys who throw in the low numbers, and I mean, like, let's say 800 or less, those guys are struggling early. Now, this is not an implication that a player's career will go poorly. It's that early in their NFL tenure,
they struggle
suffer. They suffer. It's
while they're
not
getting the
second
reps.
nature
Right.
to them. The speed is harder to catch up to, or to slow the game down for them. And JJ McCarthy is in the 700s in pass attempts. So regardless of whether or not Harbaugh trusted him or he just leaned heavily on the rushing attack, I don't know that McCarthy's got the experience that a quarterback needs to be prepared for the NFL, even with the year he set.
There's you can't really argue with that. It's a fair point.
Well made point, yeah.
But as far as like you go back to the 49ers teams that Harbaugh coached, and now he even had Andrew Luck, which was his best quarterback he ever coached in college. But you go back to those teams, those 49ers teams were rushing teams. His Michigan teams were rushing teams.
Yeah, that's
his Chargers team
is a rushing team.
Yeah.
With Justin Herbert at the quarterback spot.
That was a passing team the year before. And so, I mean, that's just the way Harbaugh likes to play football.
And the run game is what wins you football at the end of the. You can't have a good passing game, I don't think, without a good running game. And if McCarthy is asked to play off of that run game, if Jordan Mason is what the Vikings think he can be for them, based on the fact that they targeted him and went after him so early in free agency, and Aaron Jones has one more good year in him, that does make life a lot easier on JJ McCarthy. Right.
Which
Brandon was just saying,
is something Cousins really didn't have with KOC.
It's a good point too.
He had it with Zimmer, but Zimmer was a run first coach. Like he did not want to have 350-yard passing games for Cousins. He did not want to have.
He wanted to control the game and win it with his defense.
Which would have worked in 2017 and 2018 had those two been able to get along, but he didn't want Cousins. So I think now with their changing culture, I really like this team. Like I said, do I think they're going to win 14? No. Do I think they could win 12? Yeah. Would I be shocked if they only won 8? No.
So there's high variance to your mind in terms of this Viking season as well. And I think, and I do believe that that's because there is some high variance with JJ McCarthy in terms of what he can provide. Sam Darnold, the Vikings, you guys won some games on his arm last year.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. So like if you can't
lost
do
a couple
that
on it too.
Yeah. And as I said, the secondary, you get 28th in the NFL last year in terms of passing yards allowed. Like that you guys can get passed on. Do you think that the secondary has been improved at all in terms of what this Vikings team is going to run out on Monday night against the Bears?
I think they believe it's improved. I think they believe that Jeff Okudah and Isaiah Rogers. I think what's his name, Isaiah Rogers. I think
that's their names. I like Okudah.
I believe that Flores and O'Connell believe that they're better options than Shaq Griffin and Stephon Gilmore. I wouldn't be shocked to see Stephon Gilmore again in a Vikings uniform in the next couple of weeks, since he's just sitting at home right now.
So you don't think that they're gonna hold up then, if you're saying that?
Well, we only have 4 corners.
Okay. So you want a fifth in the room. Okay.
It might need it. I mean, so they got Byron Murphy. They got Jeff Okudah.
Byron Murphy.
I like Byron Murphy a lot.
He's damn good.
I haven't seen Jeff Okudah play outside of at Detroit and wherever he was last year, which I don't even think I watched. I think he was hurt last year anyways. And then Isaiah Rogers, he didn't play a lot in Philly last year. He was stuck behind Slay.
Yeah.
He was basically their nickel or dime corner. And then their other guy is Zamiah Vaughn, I think, or I can't remember who the fourth one is. It's somebody that wasn't on the team last year, I don't believe. So
Foster says
practice squad.
Foster throws out Vikings have more talent on the whole than the Bears. I got Bears winning. It really does feel good.
And God
on
rest
the
his
whole.
Soul, man. God rest his soul. But what
really his age.
Really unfortunate for the Vikings when we went through last year.
That was tragic.
I don't know if you were there for this, but we went through players drafted in the NFC North after last year's draft that you think could potentially be NFL stars. Kyrie Jackson was my player.
Oh, he was I liked him.
They liked him so much too.
I thought he was going to be. He had the NFL build, man, and he played aggressive. He looked like he was going to be a really impactful player in the NFL. That was tragic. It sucked.
It's horrible.
And it set the Vikings back in that room.
Called the Vikings out. Very proud of what the Vikings did. They took care of.
They took care of his family. Absolutely. I believe honored all of his guaranteed money too.
In regards to the secondary, I did want to mention that because I thought he was a star in the making, man.
Yeah, and they liked him a lot. And the only reason why he was a 4th round pick was because of his age. He was already 24, I think, when they drafted him, and just turned 25, I think. But they liked him a lot. From everything that I heard from local media and anybody talking about, because he didn't make it to training camp, but in rookie mini camp and mandatory OTAs or whatever, that he was just balling. Like they just could not wait to get him on the field, and
he was a player. That's what eye test. You could see it. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and that's what really pissed off a lot of people in Minnesota after what Jordan Addison did. Is like, really, couple days later you get picked up for that. Like, you got to be smarter. So hopefully that kid has turned has got his head on straight now, which I think he probably does. But
let's get into this game a little bit in terms of the matchups, what we're going to be looking at. The Jordan Addison thing is huge. The guy was a baller last year. He was my favorite receiver in that draft when he came out.
Bears.
Yeah. And Aaron Jones has generally torched the Bears. There are some Bears torchers on this Vikings team. Who are you looking at? What matchup are you looking at going into this game on Monday night? Give us yours, Kyle, and then we'll give you ours in terms of what do you think is the most crucial matchup going into this game on Monday night?
It's the Vikings front 7 on defense against the Bears.
It's a good one.
They have, like I said, and you guys have said too, the secondary outside of Harrison Smith, and there's a big question mark right next to him and Metellus and Byron Murphy. There's a big question mark next to that. And so they got to get to Caleb Williams, and they got to get to him often, because as he showed in the game at Soldier Field last year, he's capable of bringing the Bears back. And they forced overtime when that game should have been over. The onside kick should have never even been a thing. They should have stopped it. But, Vikings like to do that, like to make things interesting, especially in the KOC era. Yeah. But You get to him like you did in the first half of that game and most of the third quarter and a chunk of the fourth quarter last year, and the Vikings should be able to win. But if you can't get to him, God, I hope those corners are better than everybody thinks they are.
Well, let's expound on that a little bit, because the big matchup in this to me is Flores versus Ben Johnson in terms of the play calling, right?
I knew you were going to bring this up.
Well, we have to, because
Sure.
we got empirical data that shows it. You know, just the last 2 years, 23 and 24, Ben Johnson versus Flores. Johnson's 4-0, 30.5 points per game, 386 yards a game, 16 total touchdowns. That blitz heavy defense of Flores, Johnson has been able to scheme up to exploit. And if he can do that in this game, then that negates what you're talking about there, right? If they can't get in Caleb's face, then that becomes a big problem, because as you just said, Rome versus any of your cornerbacks, I love that matchup. DJ versus any of your cornerbacks, I love that matchup. But what the question becomes then for me is, he was doing that with Jared Goff those last 2 years, a guy who was working within the system, understood it well, very heady. Caleb Williams, we don't know what he is in Ben Johnson's offense yet, and he has shown a tendency to hold that ball too long and make bad decisions, take sacks he don't need to take. And I'm curious to see how that plays out, because Ben Johnson has shown that he can beat Brian Flores' defense. It's about, can Caleb Williams beat Ben Johnson's eyes on the field?
Yeah, Dustin, I was going to say, I think it goes a little more in depth than that. To me, the matchup is most important is Brian Flores versus Caleb Williams. This is what makes Brian Flores unique. It's what makes him one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. No matter what Ben Johnson calls, Brian Flores changes so much pre-snap, and he disguises everything. And for young, like you said, Kyle, in training camp, you're watching McCarthy kind of struggle against this defense, because Flores, especially with young quarterbacks, is going to confuse you. He's trying to fool you. Flores' defensive scheme is just as much mental as it is the physical aspect of the game. He's trying to make a quarterback feel pressure when a lot of times dropping into coverage, and it's really hard for some quarterbacks in the NFL.
What's up, Chris Foster? What's up, Razzle? They just checked in. Just want to shout them out, Brando. Thanks for being here, guys. Hit that like button.
What Caleb's able to anticipate pre-snap is going to be really important to how he plays against this defense, because Flores is going to try to confuse you. That's just something that he's been successful at throughout his career. So how
the hope is that Ben Johnson has Caleb prepared for that.
How he sees it on the field and responds to it is important.
It's kind of like it's the new old adage, as they would say, I guess, is that Brian Flores is playing chess and a lot of offensive coordinators are playing checkers. I will say
Johnson hasn't been one of them, though.
I will say in Flores' defense, I don't really like to count 2023, since he got the Lions got to play the Vikings with Nick Mullins at quarterback. And last year, we're a Christian Darrisaw stupid penalty away from being able to kick a game-winning field goal at home.
Yeah.
And then in Detroit, that game was 17-9 going into the fourth quarter. And if the Vikings offensive line and Sam Darnold could get rid of the ball, we could have probably won that game. That game was really weird in that Sam Darnold, all of a sudden, after, just lighting up the Packers the week before, that was his pumpkin game. And then the Rams saw it and did the same exact thing to him.
That last game of the season was a hard fought game. Those guys were hitting each other hard.
The Vikings offense could not stay on the field in that game. The Lions had the ball for like 37 minutes. And our defense, like I said, they were gassed. And they held, I think, Gibbs had 130 rushing yards, but
Saturday or Sunday, I'd be at church.
Goff only had like 200 passing yards. I mean, it wasn't like they scored 31 points on us, but it wasn't like they torched us the entire game. 14 of those points came in the fourth quarter when the Vikings defense was just absolutely done. Like, you stick a fork in them, they'd been on the grill way too long. And So the Vikings offense cannot allow that to happen to their defense.
No, and
especially,
I think
you got guys like Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. I mean, I think Hargrave's 30 and Jonathan Allen's about to be 30 or pretty close to it.
That's the flip side of the
those
coin.
Guys got to get off the field.
That's the flip side of the
What's
coin.
up, Razzle?
With the Hargrave was done in San Fran, and Jonathan Allen is still a solid player. But like you said, they're up there in age, similar to the Grady Jarrett signing that the Bears made. Both teams paid heavy for defensive tackles that are on the wrong side of 30 in terms of where you want them to be. But the additions they made, that you guys made at offensive line, are what was most intriguing to me. Like I said, Fries or Freeze, Kelly.
I think they say Freeze.
Okay. Yep. And then Donovan Jackson is my favorite addition. The Ohio State. He's
that guy,
a fucking stud.
He made an so when the Vikings had their they had a joint practice with the Patriots the week before they played them in the preseason. That guy was out in front of Aaron Jones 25 yards down the field and absolutely pummeled a Patriot cornerback and put him about 4 feet into the air. It was ridiculous. That guy can move.
He's a physical
big
freak.
boy.
He played left tackle. He played left tackle for most of the season last year for Ohio State.
Right.
Because when Simmons went down, I mean, he was one of my favorite players in the draft. So you guys have drastically improved your offensive line in a similar fashion from the interior, like the Bears did in this offseason. So there's a lot of similarities here. And just the same as you, I am looking at this defensive front of the Chicago Bears against that improved interior offensive line against the Vikings. I'm very wary of the fact that the Bears can get pressure. I think if they can, that's the difference. Just the same as you said. If JJ McCarthy gets rattled and they get in his face, he's going to make mistakes, and that will be a problem for the Vikings.
Yep.
But if the Bears can't generate that pressure without blitzing, then that's going to leave them very open on the back end for JJ McCarthy to kind of dice them up. So same as you just said, the Vikings getting that pressure in Caleb's face, it's going to work the other way. And I really like the improvements that this Vikings offensive line has made. And I'm not feeling so good about the Bears getting that pressure on JJ. I gotta be honest.
Well, and not only that, but when they do get pressure on him, they got to keep him in the pocket, because people don't realize that kid can move. Like I've
been seeing the training camp highlights on X all summer.
Oh yeah, I was surprised at how often they were like, dude, if you have to run, take off. And he took off quite a bit, and the kid's got some legs on him. So I don't want to see him take too many hits, but
no, yeah, for sure. Well, we do.
If you got to run.
We certainly do. I don't know, Brandon. What do you think of that? Do you think the Bears can get pressure in JJ McCarthy's face in this game on Monday?
Well, I think the beauty of it is this might come off as bias, but I firmly believe this just as kind of who he is and what he's known for. I think. Did we lose Kyle? Maybe.
No, I'm still here.
He just turned his screen off.
I think Dennis Allen has always found a way to create pressure if the talent isn't where it needs to be at the positions that he'd like to use. Because Dennis Allen's very big. He said it all offseason. He wants to rush for. That's the goal. That's what when he said you're trying to figure out who the best 4 guys are to be on the field at the same time, because we want to rush 4. We don't want to do more than that. You don't want to have to be creative in order to get sacks. But when he does, because he never had that guy, he didn't have a Myles Garrett in New Orleans. He never had a player like that.
Cam Jordan. Damn good.
But I said that knowing Cam Jordan
also on the wrong side of 30.
But earlier in his career, he was a damn good.
Yeah, he was. I think the most he had was like 14 sacks. He had some good seasons, man. But I don't put him in that same tier. But I think Dennis Allen.
No, of course not.
Dennis Allen's going to find a way to get to JJ McCarthy. I think no matter what, guys, if you're, and I would imagine Kyle will agree with this, if you're the defensive coordinator of the Bears, that has to be your plan, and you stick to it. I mean,
that has to be your number one priority.
Get to that guy. That's how you win that football game. So if you're not getting it from your defensive ends, if you're not getting it up the middle, you bring
Kyler Gordon, you bring McCarthy.
Noah Sewell, you bring somebody who's got the speed to get home, and you find a way to get them, man. Because the Bears win this game to me, and it's not about the Vikings or McCarthy. It's about any young quarterback in their NFL debut needs the game to slow down. And if you're able to break that process, if you're able to confuse a guy and just make a guy scattered and not, if he loses trust in his offensive line, then you win. That's got to be the way Dennis Allen approaches it. And I think he'll find a way to get pressure if the four guys up front aren't getting it done.
So you think the pressure is coming? You think it's going to be there? Okay.
Yeah, I do. And I think still, man, it's going to be something the Bears struggle to do all season. But I think against a quarterback like JJ McCarthy, pressure is going to have just as big an impact as sacks.
How are we feeling about TJ Hawkinson versus Tremaine Edmonds and maybe TJ Edwards if he plays, or Ruben Hippolyte? I mean, can Hawkinson, Dennis Allen's defenses have historically given it up to tight ends. I think Hawkinson might be in for a big game. You brought him up earlier, Brandon. Kyle, how are you feeling about Hawkinson going into this game? How do you think we're looking at that matchup?
I think Hawkinson is going to have one hell of a year this year. He didn't have much of a year last year, but they were saying that he was probably at best 85%. I mean, it was pretty late in the year where he had that ACL tear against the Lions the year before.
He needs to stay healthy this season, though. That is a concern.
Yep.
For sure.
Well, that, as far as I know, that was his only injury in his career, and that was I remember watching that when that happened. I was at that game. Oof, that looked gross.
I think Hawkinson is in for a big season as well if he does remain healthy. I think
is he in for a big game against the Bears on Monday night, Brandon? That's what I'm asking.
Of all of the pass catchers, he'll benefit the most. I think even with Justin Jefferson on that football team, listen, when you're a rookie quarterback, which he is, I don't care that he was on the bench for a year last year talking to Kevin O'Connell a few hours a week. When you're stepping into an NFL game for the very first time, I mean, you throwing outside the numbers is intimidating. Throwing towards Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson is a lot more intimidating than throwing in the center of the field. And Hawkinson's going to try to exploit the center of the field, and that's where JJ is going to be most comfortable throwing. And then, guys, as always, and it's obvious, there's a clear correlation here. Your biggest target is always the most comfortable to throw to.
Well, there's our JJ as well, though, Jalen Johnson, and he's on the injury report. Like, do we see Justin Jefferson against Jalen Johnson this Monday night? I mean, and if we do, who do we think wins that matchup?
Well, I think with Jefferson, man, it's like playing against Steph Curry. Limiting a guy, he still provides good numbers. You know what I mean?
And you want to double team him as much as possible.
You keep Jefferson to 5 catches for 86 yards. You had a good day. You know what I mean? Because
that's for sure. Because otherwise he'll put up 180 on you.
And 2 touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially without Jordan Addison. That's terrifies me about Justin Jefferson is even without the guy across the field that can distract the defense, he still beats you.
Well, that was going to be my question. Without Jordan,
if he doesn't
Addison,
beat you, he can still beat you.
Yeah, he can be the decoy.
He can go. Yeah. He can get a 50-50 ball just like anybody else can. He's as good at that as anybody was.
Do you think that he's better off in this game without Jordan Addison across from him, or would you prefer to have Addison there to take the attention off?
100% always want Jordan Addison lined up on the other side with him, but
because the Bears can focus on him, pretty heavily with their defensive game plan.
Right. This is a game where
when teams focused on Justin Jefferson last year, Addison went off.
Addison ate.
Like if you were a defense, like, oh, we just got to make sure JJ doesn't do his thing. That's a bad approach because the guy on the other side can tear you to pieces.
Well, they look at him. He's like 5'11", weighs about $180 maybe. I think they list him at like 195, but we know how that listing works. Like they add 15 pounds to everybody. I really, really like TJ Hawkinson and Adam Thielen in this game because I think Adam Thielen's going to run a lot of under routes, and they're both going to be right in the middle of the field for McCarthy.
That's where he'll throw the most, without a doubt.
Well, hopefully that's where Kyler Gordon is the most too, running with Thielen, because I
Right.
think Gordon might end up if Jalen Johnson's not healthy in this game, Gordon might be your most important cornerback. And then you got Tyreek Stevenson as well if he needs to step in. I think the Bears have a solid secondary. I believe that the Bears have the advantage in the secondary in terms of just straight talent and players from my perspective.
Comparing
so I think
the secondaries.
if you're talking about the Vikings secondary, the Bears secondary, I think the Bears have the advantage there. I think
definitely for depth, for sure.
Yeah.
And this is.
I think for top talent too, to be honest, in terms of what you're gonna throw out there, especially if Harrison Smith
Jalen Johnson over. I would take Johnson over Byron Murphy for sure.
Yeah, but I like your linebackers. I like your linebackers better than ours. I think the Vikings have an advantage there. Defensive line, in terms of getting after the passer, you guys have the advantage there. It's gonna really come down to me to how Ben Johnson schemes this up, and if Caleb executes it, guys. That's where it starts and ends with.
Well, yeah, you'll have to use some. You're gonna get creative in protecting Caleb Williams here. This is not just going to be the five guys up front. I mean, you have got some really talented edge rushers on this football team, and not just at that position, not just at the defensive end position. I mean, Van Ginkel is the linebacker who will get there. So there's a lot to worry about.
And Dallas Turner in the flat too if you don't look for him.
I think Turner is in for a hell of a season for you guys. I think he's going to have a breakout season, to be honest, and I'm very concerned about him in this game.
People are so down on him.
I don't understand.
Insane. Well, I can tell you why.
On this channel, we've preached that he's gonna.
Let's hear what he has to say, though, in terms of why you guys are down on him.
I've had plenty of arguments with idiots on Twitter, and people are like, "Well, he's a bust. He's a bust," and I'm like, "Who would you start him over last year? Who would you start him over? Andrew Van Ginkel? Would you start him over Jonathan Grenard? You're also forgetting that they had Patrick Jones backing those two up, who also got like 8 sacks last year. So
and
they drafted him. He was the second. I think he was the one. If he wasn't second youngest, he was right next to McCarthy in age. And so like they knew when they traded up to get him that they were drafting a guy who had raw talent that they were going to have to cultivate, and that he wasn't going to come in and be Micah Parsons in year one. Fine.
Kyle, that is exactly why
we didn't need him to be.
That's why I liked Jared Verse more in that draft, because
Dallas Turner, he's a more prototypical defensive end.
I just thought Dallas Turner was a not a long-term project, but a project, and that you were going to get there eventually for sure, but where Verse was going to be an immediate product. And I still believe that Dallas Turner is going to be a good football player in the NFL.
The thing that stood out to me about what you were just saying, though, Kyle, and when we deal with it here in Chicago too, there's a loud minority of Chicago fans that are against Caleb Williams being the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. It's the most
seen him.
Yeah, it's the most annoying thing to deal with in Bears Twitter at this point. And you're dealing with
Razzle's in here.
Razzle is not that. Razzle's not.
No,
that.
he just says don't drink the Kool-Aid. That's right.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, Razzle. Sorry, brother.
But
I don't get it.
To write off a guy like Turner after 1 year in that defense with the amount of talent that you guys had, it makes no sense at all. And I just don't understand certain fans sometimes with the perspective.
It was after week one. Week one, they're like, "Why isn't Dallas Turner on the field more often?" And it's like you just watched why. You just watched Van Ginkel take a pick six. Yeah. You just watched Grenard get like 2 sacks in that game. Like, I'm like, there's no reason to play him. And so he played the least amount of snaps of all those, top draft picks at his position. And guess what? He had the most sacks per snap of any.
And the Vikings expected him to play a low amount of snaps when they drafted him.
Yeah, they did not.
He's a situational player. I don't think that. I mean, I don't think Dallas Turner's like a linebacker. I don't think you want him on the field. Like Van Ginkel can rush the pass, but also play the linebacker position.
Right.
Dallas Turner is an edge. And he's going to be used on pass rushing downs. That's the player he's going to be.
I worry about him taking a step this year and him having some big splash plays in this game on Monday night to start off this season. That's somebody I think about when I think about this Vikings defense.
That was the first thing I noticed.
We straight up. I want to ask you, Kyle. I have to ask this question.
Ahead.
Well, we talked about the overcritical fan base with these guys that have only played one season in the NFL. What is the Vikings impressions of Caleb Williams? I mean, which side of the Bears fan base are you more in line
Are you
with?
worried about Caleb Williams going into a matchup on Monday night? I guess would be the question.
Am I worried? Like, I'm
Yeah,
not worried about him.
No, are you worried that
far
he
as-
can beat your team? Yeah, like, do you think he's a good enough quarterback to do that?
He's good enough. Like I said, he brought the Bears back and tied that game in Soldier Field last year. So to say that he's doesn't have the talent is insanely stupid.
I'm glad to
I'm
hear
not gonna lie and say that he was my favorite quarterback in that draft. McCarthy wasn't either. Jaden Daniels was my favorite quarterback in that draft. If I was going to pick anybody, that's the one that I wanted.
Yeah, I loved Daniels.
I'm also I am also a Notre Dame fan. My uncle played hockey at Notre Dame, or my great uncle in the 60s, in the late 60s and early 70s.
You liked Hartman?
No, but I did watch that. I watched that game and I thought to myself, yes, when I was like, do I really want a quarterback that's going to walk over to his mom on national TV? I don't. There's things about his demeanor that I don't like on the sidelines. But then again, I also say I don't really care.
Yeah,
I only care about what happens on the field. But it is like it sits in the back of my mind, and so that part of it I'm not a huge fan of. But like I said, he brought you guys back and almost could have won that game if he doesn't take the dumbest sack in the history of football. When he had all day to throw the ball and then takes like a 20-yard sack.
That's what you're hoping Ben Johnson has coached out of him throughout this offseason. That's what
I'm
real
hoping.
Quick,
Jedediah says,
this is a good comment.
I saw Tom Grassi defend Caleb Williams to Bears fans. The diehard Packers fans defending a Bears QB. It's ridiculous that division rivals put more stock in our QB than and I want to say this. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the opposing divisional player, had to defend Caleb Williams on his podcast for all the hate and criticisms that he's received. And it's ridiculous that it's a national story where other fan bases are defending a quarterback because our fan base is so critical of him. Like
I think our fan base is a loud minority, as I've said. I don't know that. I think it's a good portion of us are backing Caleb, but I think it's a lot
of it. I think a lot of it is just the fact that the Bears really haven't had a decent quarterback since Jim McMahon.
Well, Kyle, what it is, and I don't know.
Jay Cutler was a solid quarterback.
What I believe it all spawned.
I wasn't drafted, and
It's very weird.
I wanted the Vikings to draft him, but they didn't. But
I don't know, because you're outside of it being a Vikings fan. I don't know if the rest of the NFL fan bases kind of saw this occurring, because we're here.
This is what Jed's saying right here, Brandon.
The Justin Fields fans hated whoever it was that the Bears, and then they hated whoever it was that was good. They didn't want Fields traded. Fields got traded, so they immediately disliked whoever the Bears were projected to draft, which was Caleb Williams. And then after Caleb Williams was drafted, they all said, "Oh, we wanted Jaden Daniels." I assure you that when they traded Justin Fields, Jaden Daniels was the name coming out of the Bears reports.
They wouldn't have been happy.
That's the guy they would have hated the most. And they would have said, I wanted Caleb. It was just the guy who wasn't Justin Fields was going to be the guy they rooted against. And I don't know if you've ever seen this happen in Minnesota, in your fan base with Minnesota, where a fan base roots against a player's success that you rely on to be successful. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
I can give you a very prominent Vikings name that everyone in Minnesota, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a very loud, either minority or small majority. No, not Favre.
Culpepper.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like I said, I shouldn't say everybody, but a very large amount of people didn't like him.
He was good.
He was good.
Culpepper.
He
was drafted in the same draft as Brian Urlacher, I believe.
Yeah. 99.
Yeah. Urlacher was a year later then. Sorry.
We got Culpepper. We traded Brad Johnson after the 98 season for Washington's first pick. It was like the 12th pick, I think. Was that the same guy?
Culpepper went 11th, right? I think 11th
somewhere around there. Yeah. He went. He was basically like the only quarterback from that draft. Him and McNabb were the only quarterbacks from that draft, which was touted as like the best quarterback draft since '83 or whatever Marino's year was. Those two were the only guys that ever did anything.
Was that the same one with Aaron Brooks?
McNown, Tim Couch, was Achilles Smith in that one too?
Achilles Smith is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
the Bengals.
Yeah. Those 5 guys, and they hated him. They did. I don't know if it was he didn't come off as like a super smart, like you normally when you hear the quarterback talk, you're expecting to hear like, the most intelligent guy in the room, because the quarterback generally should be. And Culpepper didn't sound like that.
No, he wasn't very articulate, but
no,
I think he rubbed people the wrong way. He did. He did. That guy.
He did. They people like to bring up his small hands. That was the thing on this draft stock.
He did fumble a lot.
Hands. He fumbled a lot. Yes. But guess what? Running quarterbacks tend to fumble a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, what I'm thinking about in terms of this matchup, in terms of these two teams, and another similarity that I see is JJ McCarthy and Caleb Williams are two guys that are getting a lot of hate, nationally. I saw throughout the summer, not just it's like the same thing with Caleb and JJ McCarthy. You'll see one minute you're scrolling through and you see the highlights of how good they look and how many touchdowns they threw in the training camp session or whatever.
I hate that stat, by the way.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
It's so dumb.
But then the next one, JJ McCarthy threw this terrible interception to so and so. What is he looking at? I think Caleb and JJ are both two very hot button quarterbacks this year.
Sure,
and
a lot of pressure.
They're both in a situation where they have a lot of pressure. JJ McCarthy hasn't even played a snap yet, and he is under a lot of pressure because he is the quarterback of a team that just won 14 games last year, right? So, like, I'm curious to see which one stands out in this game on Monday night and starts to quiet that narrative that they are not the guy, because it is coming for both guys,
right?
From the national aspect for sure.
The national aspect for sure. Locally, not so much. You'll run into a few people here and there who were like, that was a dumb pick. That was not the right guy to take. And, a lot of people wanted Bo Nix. I wanted JJ McCarthy. I wanted the guy that just won the national title. I didn't care that he only threw 250 times that year or whatever it was that he threw.
There's no buyer's remorse that you guys didn't go for Bo Nix, seeing what he did last year in Sean Payton's offense. There's no buyer's remorse at all. Okay,
not really. Like I said, I think there's a reason. If Kevin O'Connell wanted Bo Nix, he would have got him. Yeah. There's a reason why he didn't want him. There's a reason why he wanted McCarthy. I mean, they scouted the shit out of all 5 of those quarterbacks. Or was it 5? Yeah, it was 5 or 6.
Yep. It was Caleb, Jaden, Penix,
Drake
Nick,
May,
McCarthy.
Yep,
the Vikings GM, his name escapes me. He was the one who
Kwesi Odofo Menza.
Yeah, he was the one who Caleb Williams said, they called me. I walked in there and talked to him, because remember, they had to trade up to get a quarterback. And he said, we don't stand a chance at drafting you. I just wanted to meet you. That's during the pro day, the GM of the Vikings asked to speak with Caleb for like 5 to 10 minutes, and it was literally just to get to know him. I thought that was a funny story.
I think the Vikings kind of got fleeced in that trade a little bit with we traded with the Jets to move up a spot. I don't believe. Yeah, we moved from 11 to 10. I don't think we had to. I think they were just like paranoid that Denver was going to move up and take somebody. I think Denver got who they wanted to get.
Yeah.
But there were like the guy that I go to Vikings games with, that I have tickets with, he is the most, like, he hates Kwesi. He's like, the worst drafter in the history of sports, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay.
That's how Bears fans feel about Ryan Poles too, man. It's very similar as well.
I'm sure they do. People here think that Kwesi is the GM, like Rick Spielman was the GM. Rick Spielman had complete control over the roster. Kwesi does not have complete control.
KOC is in on that for sure.
KOC and Flores are both in on that. And that's why I think that 2022 draft class didn't go so well, because that year Ed Donatel had a lot of say in who the Vikings drafted on for that defense, and those defensive picks were terrible.
Yeah.
Andrew Booth Jr., Lewis Cine. Now, Lewis Cine might be a little unfair because he suffered a just absolutely disgusting leg injury in London against the Saints. Maybe that it's quite possible that affected his play the next year. He wasn't exactly getting on the field before that happened, but I like the moves that Kwesi has made for the most part. He certainly found the free agents every single year.
You certainly got a
talking
good
to you.
record.
Yeah, and for sure,
Right.
he's definitely got a much better record than Poles. The thing about Poles and Kwesi both got hired in the same offseason.
Yep.
And your GM has obviously been much more successful in that time. Getting this perspective from you kind of it shows me that there's a lot of similarities, honestly, between the Vikings fan base and the Bears fan base in terms of how they view their teams. And you guys have had a lot more success than the Bears have had. I think that changes this season. I picked the Vikings to have 5 wins. I didn't expect a lot from them last year. Yeah, I don't know. Just looking at the schedule, man, it's a fucking tough one. And I told you, I just got no faith in JJ McCarthy. But that's not about anything besides the fact that I just didn't think he was that good in college, to be honest. That's really what it comes down to for me. But I am looking forward to this game on Monday night. I am curious to see which one of JJ McCarthy and Caleb Williams comes out and establishes themselves against these defenses. And I'm curious what your prediction is for this game on Monday night, Kyle. I'm curious how you see this thing going and where you see it falling when the game's done, when the clock hits 0.
Well, historically, Bears-Vikings games in Soldier Field are fucking weird.
Yeah.
Weird shit happens almost every year. And even last year, weird shit happened. An onside kick hit Johnny Munt in the leg. That shouldn't have happened, but it did. Luckily, we got out of that game. I think I'm trying to think what happened the year before. That one is not ringing a bell. I'm pretty sure we swept the Bears in 2022. But outside of that, like I said, weird shit happens in Soldier Field. It's not going to be in my opinion, I think if this game was at US Bank Stadium, I'd be picking the Vikings to win like 31-17, 31-13-ish, like that. It ain't going to be that. It's going to be, if the Vikings win, they're going to win 21-17, 21.
They're going to win ugly. Do you think?
It's going to be ugly. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's going to be turnovers. There's going to be, I guess it's supposed to rain a little bit, maybe. There's always weird shit going on with that fucking field.
Yeah, for sure.
Always. And I don't know if they like to, they just like, hey, let's let the grass grow longer because the Vikings are coming to town. I know Green Bay
everybody.
does it.
It's everybody.
Green Bay does it. They did it to us. I was at the game in Lambeau in 2022. Well, it was New Year's Day of 2023 when we got just absolutely stomped and Vikings players are slipping all over. Well, it turns out they turned the sprinklers on like 4 hours before the game and soaked the field down and let the grass grow. But
what's your prediction?
Something like that. That's my prediction. We're going 21-13 Vikings.
21-13 Vikings on the road against the Bears. That is Kyle's pick. Brandon, what do you have for this game on Monday night? What does it come down to, and how does it shake out? You're going to be at the game.
I am going to be at the game. Yeah, I like the Bears at home. Today I looked at head coaching debuts versus quarterback debuts in the NFL, and it says in premium rounds, so you're talking about first and second round, premium round quarterbacks win about 50% of the games in their debuts, but the overall quarterback rookie class wins I think I don't even remember. It was like 28.
You're gonna get there, man. Just
very low, very low. It drops by about half.
Okay.
So NFL head coaches have about a 46% win rate. So I don't know. I think Ben Johnson at home, or even more so JJ McCarthy on the road, is going to be a little too much. Like I said, I like the quarterbacks that had a lot more experience, and The 700 pass attempts in college is a concern for me. It's not going to be second nature. His ability to process on the road will be tougher, and it's already going to be tough for him, I think, to begin with. And I think the Bears are able to put points. Listen, the offense is the thing I think is stronger on this Bears team. I think the offense is much stronger than the defense is, and I think they're able to put points on the board. I'm going to say Bears. I'm going to say Bears 27, Vikings 20.
So when you come up with that 700 number or whatever, are you taking into account that he really only played what he played, like a season and three quarters?
Yeah, like 2 seasons.
No, yeah, I think that it's Kyle. That's almost the point that I'm trying to make.
Okay, I mean that's fair.
The guys that get paid with the NIL deals that choose to stay in college and further develop themselves are the guys who
have more repetition.
Listen, like I said,
right?
So they're not a projection.
More ready for it. Yeah.
And this is not a projection of a player's overall career. This is just related to immediate success. The guys that throw a lot of passes look better early in their careers than the guys who didn't get that experience. And I think staying in college, like I think if Mitch Trubisky had stayed in college, he'd have been a different product in the NFL.
I think so as well. Yeah, he was a flash in the pan. I mean, Foster's throwing out 31-24 Bears. Chris Foster is with you, Kyle. He's got Minnesota 31-17 in Soldier Field. Brandon, what's your score prediction? What do you got? What do you?
I said it.
You said 27-20, right?
27-20.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. I think Ben Johnson knows how to exploit this Brian Flores defense. I would imagine Brian Flores is coming into this thing with a lot of pressure on him because he wants to end that narrative. I think that matters to him. And I think that he's going to change some things up and throw some different shit at the Bears. And I think maybe to start out, it's a feeling out process for both of these offenses, and the defenses kind of get the upper hand, but the offense starts to take off, I think, for both teams in a respect. I think the Bears are going to have a tough time creating pressure with the 4 guys. So they're going to need the blitz. So JJ McCarthy will have some chances to beat them over the top. I don't trust him to be able to do it. I think Caleb throws for about 70% completion in this game, 265 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 to Colston Loveland and 1 to Roma Dunze. And I think DeAndre Swift makes a couple big plays and gets in the end zone as well. I see the Bears coming out 27-17 is where I fell. I almost went 31-14. But I think this Bears offense will exploit this Vikings secondary. I think Caleb has got the most. We talked about McCarthy and Caleb. I think Caleb has more pressure on him than McCarthy because McCarthy's never played a snap. Caleb wants to turn this narrative and he wants to be great. And I think he's been listening to Ben Johnson all offseason and he's ready for this. And I think he's going to come out really hot against a bad Viking secondary. And if you don't have Harrison Smith, that's going to, as you said, that's an even tougher proposition because he is the leader of that defense. He really is.
Absolutely,
in terms of yes. So that's a big deal. So I'm just reading the tea leaves here, and I'm thinking that Caleb comes out on fire, and the Bears. I think the Bears and Vikings split in this season in terms of just the home team wins, but I think the Bears got their number this Monday night, and I think this Ben Johnson offense comes out firing on all cylinders before they hit some bumps in the road. I think they're catching JJ McCarthy at the right time too.
I'm going to preface my prediction in that I wouldn't be shocked at all if either one of your guys' predictions came true.
Well, and vice versa.
Right.
Yeah, because the Bears are starting with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams for the first game. This is not a team I want to play. The Vikings are a good football team.
The Vikings are going to be better when they play the Bears the second time than they are right now. That's what I believe. And more so, if JJ McCarthy is going to be the guy that you guys hope he is, he will be a lot better later in the season than he will be in his first game on the road in a tough environment against a team that is really hyped up and a defense that's been physical all offseason.
Right.
That's the thing I'm thinking about.
I'm interested to see if Kevin O'Connell is actually going to stick to his guns as far as he wants to run the ball more. Vikings have been the last 3 years. Yeah. He has been like
pass
one
heavy.
of the he's been extremely pass heavy, probably the lowest Vikings rushing attempts and yards I've probably ever seen in my life. that'll be interesting to see if he actually commits to that. He's tried it, and then he kind of gets away from it real fast. Like he has given up on the run. Now, granted, the Vikings haven't had the last 2 years for sure haven't had much as far as, well, not last year they had Aaron Jones, but the year before when they let Dalvin Cook go,
Yeah,
Ty
Madison,
Chandler and
Madison
was not a feature back at all.
No, and they thought he was, and they had a lot of people convinced he was too.
Oh, he was fantastic. He was fantastic spelling
in a secondary
Dalvin Cook
role. Yeah, he was.
When he was spelling Cook, he came in and he was something else. But then just when it was his show, he just couldn't deliver.
Aaron Jones is someone I'm worried about, man. He is always a Bears killer. He always kills the Bears in soldier. He's a guy who will catch the ball out of the backfield. And I think that they went and got Mason for that very reason, because he does want to be committed to the run. And I think it is to protect JJ McCarthy. So I think that they will do that. But I think that the Bears will be able to kind of limit that to where you're going to have and score enough to where you're going to have to start throwing. And that's where JJ McCarthy might make some mistakes in his first start. But I think he wants to be committed to the run. I don't think that's I think he really, obviously the moves that they made in terms of the interior offensive line and bringing in a bruising running back like Mason, it shows that that's what he wants to be his plan.
And that's the thing too. I mean, the Vikings offensive line has been terrible since basically
you guys brought in Cam Robinson last year, right? Was that Cam Robinson that you guys brought in?
Yeah, we traded for Cam Robinson after Darisaw tore his ACL in Los Angeles, but like that's been something, and it's, to be quite honest, it's something that should have got Spielman fired years before he actually did, was that it took him, a decade to get the left tackle and right tackle positions correct. I mean, and then
we're kind of related to that in Chicago.
By the time he did, the interior, the interior was terrible. So, which is one thing that I always like to bring up whenever people criticize Cousins, is that the guy was running for his life most of the time he was in Minnesota,
and he was never a very good runner.
Nope,
that was never really
except for that one game against the Arizona Cardinals a couple years ago.
Okay,
he certainly ran the ball pretty well that day. I watched him bring in one from the 22-yard line. It was the most insane thing I've ever seen. To watch that statue run the ball for 20 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah, it's always fun when you see that slow quarterback get off once in a while,
right?
Yeah. Listen, man, I think it's going to be a fun game. I am excited for this NFL season. We had our first football, Thursday night. That was a decent game. I think we're in for a fun NFL season overall. This opening week is going to be a blast, man. Kyle, anything you want to leave us on before you get out of here? We're going to go to one more segment.
Is there anywhere we can find you, Kyle? You clearly look as if you podcast.
I do stream. I generally only stream video games because it's easy.
Yeah, he told us that. Yeah. I remember you told us that in the chat. Yeah.
But I actually, this whole background thing, I just set that up right before I came in, just because I didn't have a Vikings hat, so I'm like, well, I gotta have something that's more than just this hoodie. So I just did that real quick. I have a NVIDIA broadcast, but I do have a channel. It's Lefty Lulls on YouTube, where like I said, I play video games and just basically talk about whatever. Most of my chat is not even interested in the video game. They just sit and talk about whatever. So,
man, you're knowledgeable when it comes to your team. You got a wealth of experience in going to those games and rooting for them. And you ever want to come on here and chat with us the next time the Bears and Vikings are going to play, or any other time in general, man, just to talk NFL or whatever, man, we're here for that. And we appreciate you. I mean, if you start up a Vikings channel, I'm sure you would find success, because you know your shit in terms of your football team.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It's about I used to be able to tell just about anything about the NFL as a whole when I was younger, and then I had 2 kids 10 years ago, and now I only follow my team. So it's awful hard with those.
Got to prioritize the time.
Yeah. So
shit, I got 5, man. So
damn, I had 2 in one shot, and that was enough for me. I'm like, that was the hardest. That was the hard. I was a wrestler in high school, and any of those wrestling practice, none of them compared to how hard it is to raise 2 infants at the same time. That was friggin' difficult.
I wrestled and I've raised multiple infants, and I mean, it is hard. Both of those things are very hard, but I couldn't imagine having 2 at one time, man. But I'm sure it's a blessing for you, though.
Let me tell you, if it ever, that's one thing people ask me. They're like, "Well, what was it like in the when you got the ultrasound?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm glad I was sitting down because if I was standing up, I would have passed out and I would have probably split my head open on the floor because I've never been in more shock in my life." Because real quickly, my wife was always complaining about how sick she was in the first like couple of weeks before we went there. And I grew up on a farm. So listening to someone whine, like my grandma did farm work up until she gave birth. Right. So listening to somebody whine about that, I was like, yeah, you're pregnant, but come on, the kid's not that bad. So we get there and my wife is like, I can't believe how sick I've been. And then the woman says, well, that's because you got two in there. And like I said, I was glad I was sitting down because I could feel my knees get weak. I was so friggin' shocked. So yeah, it was. And then just everything after that and the first like 4 years. Oof.
Scrolls wants to know what games you stream.
So I'll play Call of Duty. Most of it is World of Warcraft. Because World of Warcraft is a great game to play when you're streaming because you can actually interact with your chat. Whereas Call of Duty is hard to do that because you got to keep
so much action going on.
You got to stay laser focused, otherwise you're gonna get yeeted. I've also played Red Dead Redemption, and I was thinking about playing some Madden. And I'm not very good at it anymore because I stopped playing it about 10 years ago. But
the new Madden, I kind of like it.
I've been playing it and it's fun. It is fun. I got sick of Madden because it just felt like a roster.
It's always the
update
same
every
game.
Year.
It's always the same.
It felt like a roster update every year, and a lot of the same glitches were constantly there, and it stopped being interesting to me, and so I just stopped getting it. My kid would get it every year, and he would play it, and he'd be like, "Dad, will you play Madden with me?" And I'd be like, "Ugh, I hate that game," but yeah. And then like I think when he was like 7, he kicked the shit out of me, and I was like, "Okay, I'm not playing this game again." And then when I got it this year, I played it for about a week, just so I could play him, and I beat his ass. Yeah, so yeah, it's actually a pretty good game this year. So, but yeah,
well, this has been a blast, Kyle. We appreciate you being on here, man. And like I said,
Kyle, pleasure to meet you, man.
And yeah, it's great meeting you guys too.
Thanks for all your loyalty, man. Thanks for being there. Thanks for throwing stuff in the chat and conversing.
Yeah, and appreciate your perspective on the Vikings, man. Because
you're very well grounded and educated on your.
Yeah, no problem. Just I don't take it too seriously. Like if we like, I always tell people, if we're in November, if we're 7-2 or 5-3, 6-2, something like that, I'm excited. If we're 4-4, 3-5. You know what? Just watch the game and have fun because I'm not gonna get upset about it. I don't let it ruin my day.
There's a point where you let go. Yeah, you like unattach yourself from it.
Exactly. I'm not gonna let it ruin my day. I used to when I was younger, until that Favre year when he threw that pick in the NFC title game. That was it for me. I'm like, this is the last time I'm gonna let him kill me. And then after that, we're gonna have fun with it. And if it doesn't work out, well, it's not the end of the world. So, but I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, it's not going to work out this Monday night. I'm sorry.
I love your guys' show. I love watching.
Appreciate you.
Most of the time, I'm unfortunately at work when you guys stream your show here because it's I think you guys go on live like 11:30 on Thursdays. Most time I'm at work, but I try and catch it whenever I can. So
Foster wants to know what your X handle is.
My X handle is.
I don't know mine. I don't know mine off the top of my head either.
I'm pretty sure it's just Lefty Lulz, like my YouTube channel. But yeah, it's at Lefty Lulz. LULZ is the last 3. Lefty Lulz.
Listen, man, I remember when you first jumped in our chat, and we thought it was super cool that a Vikings fan was just randomly in our chat. And like you said, it was leading up to that Vikings game, and we had a good conversation then, and we had a good conversation now where we went back and forth. Like you said, no hard feelings. I appreciate your perspective. And we appreciate you even coming up with the idea of jumping on, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, thanks for having me on. It was nice meeting you guys too. And I'll be back.
All right, man.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck on Monday.
Same to you. Bear down. All right. That was Kyle, Purple Jesus, in our chat. This guy's been a pretty damn good member of our chat for a while. If anybody else in here is a Lions fan, jump in next week. We'll have you on. We'll have a conversation about the game. And
that was fun, man.
Do that same thing. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Kyle is a good dude. as I expected, but knows a lot about football for sure. I always appreciate, man,
Good luck.
People who are just grounded. You know what I mean? He clearly didn't just show a whole bunch of bias for the Vikings. He understands, just the same as we do as Bears fans, there's always things to be alarmed about before a season starts with your football team.
JJ McCarthy is something to be alarmed about if you're a Vikings fan.
We do want to roll out a new segment and do it quickly. Do it quickly tonight. You bet your ass, Dustin. And
let's just throw out a few. Yeah.
The way it sounds is like we're gonna give you some bets that you can hang your hat on here, man. So I want to be as correct as possible on these guys. So we're gonna
or you're giving your ass away.
We're gonna keep track of our records here, man. So Dustin, you go ahead. You start.
A couple player props for the Monday night Bears game, man. Aaron Jones plus 2.5 receptions. I like that one. I don't have the odds in front of me right now, unfortunately. And DeAndre Swift plus 10 yards. I think you get them at like plus 150 on both of those, I believe. Those are two good bets. I think DeAndre Swift is going to be catching the ball a lot more in this Ben Johnson offense. And Aaron Jones averaged 2.5 catches last year for the Vikings. And as I've stated multiple times on the show, Aaron Jones just always ends up being a fucking bear killer, man. He always has good games against this team, no matter what. So I like those two bets Monday night for the Bears game.
Okay, yeah, I've got so should I give each leg and explain, or should I just tell you the whole parlay?
No, go for it, man. Do that. Whatever you want to do.
All right, so I got Chase Brown over 2.5 receptions. That's not an alternate number. That's the given number because he's caught in 3 or more passes against this Bengals team, or against this Browns team, pretty much every game he's ever played him in his career. Actually, yeah, every game he's played him. I have David Njoku over the 47.5 yards, man. Joe Flacco found something in the David Njoku that we just didn't see before he started playing quarterback there, man. And he clearly likes that guy more than any of the other targets on his football team. Even with the addition of Jerry Jeudy, I think David Njoku is going to consistently be a number one target guy on that Browns team, man. And I think that he could finish between 50, 60 yards in most weeks. But Tyrone Tracy, Dustin, this is the one that people are probably, this one you got to be wary of. It's how much is Scatterbo involved. But Tyrone Tracy, 58 yards. This Commanders team, the rush defense is just egregious, and they lost pieces.
And the Giants are going to need to run the ball to stay in that game, so that's a good one. I like it.
And they lost pieces that were effective against the run last year. So I mean, I see bad things for the Giants rush defense, man. Or not the Giants. Sorry, I see bad things for
the Commanders
rush defense. James Cook, anytime touchdown score, man. I hate these. I hate doing them. It's just a 50-50 shot.
I hit one with
guy,
Barkley tonight.
This guy gets in the end zone more often than not. Most games he plays. I think he had like 18 total touchdowns or something last season. He's playing against the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be tough for them to get in the end zone through the air. I think that Ravens with Jay Alexander, Kyle Hamilton, they drafted Malachi Starks. It's not going to be an easy defense to pass against.
Marlon Humphrey. Yeah, the Ravens definitely improved there. So what's your total odds? You're putting all those together?
Oh, so yeah. So it's plus 970, guys. That parlay, that 4-leg parlay. I put $10.31. I know it's a weird number, but I literally continue to add more to my bet until I get to the $100 earning mark. So 1031 earns you wins you $100.05. So a $10 bet can win you $100. It's tenfold your money pretty much here. So yeah, I like all 4 of those bets, man. I'm pretty confident in those.
Okay, very good. For the games on the lines, man, I like the Pittsburgh Steelers minus 2.5 this week against the New York Jets. Getting the negative number on the road is always rough, but I think the Steelers are just a clearly better team than the Jets. I don't expect the Jets to come out, firing. And I think Tomlin kind of knows what he needs to do against Justin Fields in order to win a game. He just had him on his team last year, and he found out how to win with Justin Fields. So he knows his weaknesses because he hit him as best he could. So I like the Steelers minus 2.5. I like the Patriots minus 2.5 hosting the Raiders. I think the Patriots are going to win that game, come out hot. But Mike Vrabel definitely makes an impact on this team immediately. The Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals have lost their home openers, three years in a row. I think that breaks this year. I think if the Bengals are going to be who some of us expect them to be, they got to win this game. If they lose this game, I am out on the Bengals altogether. I've said that. They're -5.5 on the road at Cleveland. I'm going to take that. And then I got the Atlanta Falcons. They're getting 3.5 points. They're +3.5 against the Buccaneers, and they're at home hosting the Buccaneers. And I picked the Falcons to win this division at 10-7, and the Buccaneers to finish second at 9-8. So I'm going to take the Falcons getting 3.5 at home. I love that. You pair all four of those together, you're at +990 odds. Those are damn good odds, and hopefully it hits. We'll see how it goes. Put those four together.
Yeah, for sure.
Scrolls and Foster picked the Cowboys. I had the Eagles -6.5. I thought they would win by a touchdown. I moved the line a little bit. That did not pay out. And I had A.J. Brown at 50+ yards, and we all know how the fuck that went. I had CeeDee Lamb and his over, and that hit. And I had Saquon Barkley's anytime touchdown. But, yeah, 2 for 4 on that parlay. I had 229-22. I don't know what that means. Bucks are going to run that division like a cakewalk. Jed, we shall see. I like the Falcons +3.5. What else you got, Brandon?
Well, I wanted to give my passing prop one that I texted you, man, but I just jumped into FanDuel now. I don't know that it's even available anymore, but I think you can do the
alternate. That's nice.
Pass.
Lefty got the +14 on the Cowboys. Very nice.
You can do the alternate passing yards and change it so that the odds improve. But the one I sent you, Dustin, the 5 players at 4,000 yards, Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. I don't remember who was my last guy that I sent you.
I don't know. Got that on your FanDuel there?
The bets on my. You know what?
I don't remember. I don't know.
The bets on my. Actually, yeah, I do. So yeah, it's right here. Sorry.
Yeah, I would hope so. You're going to throw the bet out.
Well, it wasn't letting me. It wasn't for some reason. It wasn't letting me log into my account. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams. You bet they're over on 4,000 yards. I bet $14 on it. It's a 1,014.76 payout.
It's a nice payout.
So yeah, and it's not too risky a bet, man. I mean, Joe Burrow will probably get there. Mahomes will probably get there. Baker will probably get there. Herbert and Williams are the guys that obviously improved my odds.
Okay. So that's more of a futures bet. I like it though. I mean, taking a chance on a big payout there. I got a same game parlay for tonight's game. The Chiefs at the Chargers. It's in Brazil, right? It's going to be a weird game. I like the Chargers this season an awful lot. I think they're going to be a better team than the Chiefs, and the Chargers are getting 3 points. They're +3. So I took that. I got Justin Herbert, 200+ yards. I got Omarion Hampton, 50+ yards. And I got an anytime touchdown for Isaiah Pacheco. I think the Chiefs are going to lean heavy on him this year. That's at a +1141, guys. So, I mean, you bet $5, you're going to get like 55 back. Nice to throw it out there. Los Angeles Chargers +3. Justin Herbert, 200+ passing yards. Omarion Hampton, 50+ rushing yards. Pacheco, anytime touchdown, to have a little fun on tonight's game if y'all are interested. But obviously, you're going to build your own parlays. But these are what I'm going with. Got anything else?
Yeah, take the spread on the Dolphins-Colts game, man. It's at 1.5.
Okay, so who are you taking? What do you got?
I like the Dolphins in that game for sure.
I think I picked the Colts to win that game.
I think the Colts. Listen, I think the Dolphins.
I don't like 1.5 either way, to be honest. I would move it.
I think that, yeah, I would too. But I think the Dolphins are going to be a bad football team. But in comparison to what they've been, like a playoff team, I think they're going to be, they could be somewhere between the 5-win range to like 7-win range. I told you guys this already. And now that Spencer Rattler's the starting quarterback of the Saints, I believe it even more. This Colts team's the worst team in the NFL. That's
okay. But I think they're going to have to win a couple of games, and I think at home against the Dolphins is one of the better spots they're going to get in terms of finding a win.
Defense. I don't like their quarterback. I don't like their head coach. I think this could be a disaster, like 2-win season for that football team.
Okay, so you're taking the Dolphins.
I would take the under on that too. It's 46.
The Dolphins getting 1.5. Is that? I think if the Dolphins win that game, you're going to get an over because the Dolphins are going to score a lot of points if they win that game. Like that Mike McDaniel offense actually kind of gets off. But you're banking on the Colts just not being able to score, basically.
No, the Colts are getting 1.5. I would just you could even bet this game straight, man.
Okay, just take the money line on the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Okay. I did a 2-leg parlay future bet with Cam Ward for offensive rookie of the year and Jahad Campbell for defensive rookie of the year. That's plus 6,300. So $5 wins you 320. Yeah, you're gonna wait on it for a while. I liked the spot Jahad Campbell's in, despite his struggles in this game last night. I think he's just gonna get better. I think I thought he was my favorite defensive player in the draft, and he's in a great spot there. So his odds are plus 1,500 to win defensive rookie of the year. Abdul Carter is your clear favorite, and that's probably your smartest bet to make. But I'm gonna take a long shot with Jahad Campbell just because I like the spot he's in, and I think he's gonna have a lot of fucking tackles in that defense. And Cam Ward, I think, is gonna be the clear-cut runaway offensive rookie of the year because I think that Titans team is going to be good. So I like the odds there to take a shot on that if you guys are interested.
Yeah, I had a very similar bet, man. I took Ward as offensive rookie of the year, Jalen Walker's defensive. The odds are much lower for Jalen Walker. Because
I think he's second. I think he has the second best odds. Yeah.
But I put $2 on it to win $100.
Nice. And then here's my craziest one of all, man. This one is the odds on this are plus 50,000, 503,900. The odds on this are insane. Bijan Robinson, offensive player of the year. That's at plus 1,400. Nick Bosa, defensive player of the year. That's at plus 1,500. And Justin Herbert for MVP. That's at plus 2,000. But I bet $3 on that. And it's a $15,000 payout. This is you bet your ass and you're going to lose your ass. But it's $3. This is not like what I'm confident in. I am not writing home about that. But the odds are insane. And I picked all those guys to win those awards. So let them back it up.
That's all I got, man. That's all I got in the bets. I didn't go crazy with betting this week. And the first week always
yeah, it's weird. Weird shit happens,
man. I don't
man.
love it. Yeah. After this week, I will feel much more confident in what I'm doing in regards to betting.
I'm gonna bet on the Bears to win that game, and I'm gonna throw DeAndre Swift's 10+ receiving yards and Aaron Jones's 2.5 receptions on there, and see how that pays out. Bears, I think I might just go money line with the Bears and DeAndre Swift 10+ receiving yards, Aaron Jones 2.5 receptions.
Yeah, I like the Aaron Jones 2.5 receptions, but
yeah, man.
That unless Jordan Mason's going to take a big chunk, I think that's a safe bet for sure.
Well, that's what we got tonight, guys. It's been a fun show. Thanks again to Kyle, Purple Jesus, Lefty Lowes for jumping on with us. He was an awesome guest to have and talk Bears Vikings coming up. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hit that like if you have not already. Make sure you're subscribed. Guys, we'll be back on Saturday. Kyle and Sean for the Northside 9. We're still thinking about doing something for the Monday halftime show. You guys are going to be at the game, but I'll be here. So, I mean, I can jump on for halftime, give a little reaction and talk to you guys for a bit before we get back into the second half. I think it's going to be a good night for the Bears, man. Again, I picked 27-17. You picked 27-20, Brandon. We were pretty close there. And Kyle had 21-13 for the Vikings. Yeah, Jed says, I like that Herbert bet. Why not at that price? Yeah, plus 2,000. I picked the Chargers to be the best team in the AFC. That's probably going to end up aging poorly, but I just think that's the next step in this progression with Jim Harbaugh, and I think Herbert's going to need to prove it this year because we make a lot of excuses for Justin Herbert, guys.
There was people who were in shock when you said he was the top 3 head coach in the NFL. Man, who would be shocked? I don't think it would be surprising if the Chargers finished with the best record in the NFL.
That's what I picked him to do.
Jim
to have the best record in the NFL.
He's not just he's not just he doesn't just change a program, he does it quickly. That's like the thing that I think stands out the most about Jim Harbaugh is how quickly he turns things around.
Yeah,
And
and then how quickly it crashes and burns after that.
yeah, but I mean, like, look what he did in Michigan. Look what he did with that Niners team. Look what he did with the
Yeah.
Chargers last year. I mean, he does it. He does it quickly and effectively. So, if they came out
I'm
and
on
had the
his
best record,
bandwagon.
if they came out and had the best record in the NFL, dude, I would not be.
They have, I think they clearly improved the weapons around Herbert in terms of the running game and in terms of the receiving game. And the offensive line, obviously Slater going down makes a difference. But having Joe Alt to go there to play left tackle, that's a pretty goddamn good backup plan. So I think the Chargers are going to be. They're going to start their season out on a high note, just like the Bears will on Monday when they beat the Vikings. And I think that's the moral of our story, Brandon. Anything else?
No, man, that's all I got. I am super excited, guys. Like I said, Dustin said I'll be at that game. Dustin will probably, cover it here at the studio for halftime, but we will definitely try to get you some content. I'm gonna try to get content out for the entirety of the day. I don't think there's a Saturday show this week.
No, they're not doing the Northside Night.
No, I recall Sean saying the next time we'll see him won't be for a long time. I think because he's gone next Wednesday as well.
Okay. Well,
but we will be back.
Watch last
guys.
week's episode.
We will be back for the bare minimum for sure next Thursday at 11:30, guys. Like
and
we
we'll
said,
be, yeah,
Monday.
that's gonna be our follow-up show to the Monday night show. It's a little weird when they play on Monday night because we can't do our reaction show on Monday. Hopefully, Bears victory Tuesday this week coming up, guys. Yeah, man, this is gonna be a fun weekend. Y'all enjoy it, have fun. Don't bet your ass on everything that we said because we threw some crazy shit out there for you guys. And yeah, love you. 4-Star Chicago Sports. Bear down,
guys.